The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on. He missed the complete. He's crazy.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
While short track oval racing is often associated with the American South, the northeast corner of this country has its own long and rich history with its unique style of racing. But when it comes to short tracks, New Hampshire Motor Speedway is comparably Talladega-esque. However, don't take that to mean today will be easy from a driving standpoint. 2 races means 2 potential winners, but only one will come away with the overall win today. We'll find out who grabs it as we get ready to watch the Lion Tamer Beard Care New England Twin 100's, round 13 of the Pacific Majors. And you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth tonight, as always, is Bill Soup Zahn. Next to him is our resident modifieds expert, Sean Ambrose. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Sean, it's unlucky number 13 for the round, but do you think this track deserves that kind of superstition today?
I don't know if it deserves that kind of superstition, but it is awful fun. Listen, Mile of the Moose is waiting at the front gate and welcomes you all to the Magic Mile right here in Loudon, New Hampshire. This track been racing since the early 90s and is a lot of fun. There you see it on screen. 1.058 miles, 2 to 7 degrees of progressive banking. Like Joe said in the open, this is more of like a super speedway type of race. And if the times we're seeing in practice are any indication, that's the way they'll line up on the grid, only separated by thousandths of a second today. But the best way to get an idea of what it's really like to get around the Magic Mile here in New Hampshire is to hop on board the GSRC Tour Modified and take a trip around.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Global Sim Racing channel. I'm Brad Yazek, taking you for a spin around the New Hampshire Motor Speedway in the GSRC NASCAR Whelen Modified machine. New Hampshire and these cars are pretty much like your Cup cars and Talladega. Just wide open stretches. You'll see what we mean as we get on down here. Off into turn 1, a little bit of brake just to let the nose set. I'm sure that for qualifying, I'm sure these guys have got those machines tricked out enough to maybe run that flat out, but for the race, that's what you're going to see. Down here, down this long backstretch, very wide. And the way that the bumpers line up, you actually might even see some bump drafting as well. Down here into turn 3, float to this top groove. Just enough brake to let the nose set, but not enough to really drag it down in speed, but hard onto the gas, straight off of the corner, down the front stretch once again, and off into turn 1 once again. Here we go. Probably going to want to enter a little lower than I did right there, but either way, you're going to want to cut it down and get that run off the backstretch. These machines will draft too around this place, so you could see some slingshots set up and guys going for positions. Down here into turn 3 for the final time. Float the top seam back into the gas. Let this machine dig right off of the corner, off of turn 4, down the front stretch, and across the line. And that's going to complete our track guide here around New Hampshire Motor Speedway. I'm Brian Yazik. Enjoy the show.
Should give you an idea of just how quick the laps are going to be in these Tour Modifieds around this 1 mile course. They're just finishing up warm-up here. And Bill, one thing we've noticed is the times between the 24 cars we've got out there that have put in a warm-up lap are incredibly close.
Top 11 drivers all within 1/10 of themselves. Our fastest time by Wayne Hutchison right now. Of course, these are practice times. Put in a 30.41. Chad Barker back in 11th position put in a 30.51. So there's a 1/10 of a second separating the top 11 drivers. And Sean, if we go ahead and advance that into what the racing is going to be like, it's all about track position. Passing going to be almost impossible.
Yeah, it's going to be almost impossible, but it's going to happen, okay? And certainly on restarts, I think restarts will be the best opportunity to get a couple positions from somebody. The first man that can clear the pack either from the outside or from the bottom and kind of get in front of a couple cars is probably going to be the one that stands to gain the most. Now, question is, will we see a bunch of cautions? I think we're a little split on that. It's debatable. We may see a few early, but what we've seen in practice is guys actually just getting out here, working different lines on the track and really trying to prepare for a longer run, getting these cars kind of opened up and really, keeping the momentum going, because this is a momentum track, Sue.
And one thing that may bring the cautions down is the incident cap, which was originally at 12. I think they've upped it to 13 as practice is done. Qualifying going to open up right now. But they have to be careful here that they don't want to get DQ'd.
Regular viewers might be wondering why we've got qualifying on this race for the Pacific Majors, as usually they hold that during the week. Well, they had qualifiers to get into the top split. They also have a sportsman race happening right now over the Trackside Racing Network, if you want to check that out. But as qualifying starts, the reason is we have 2 races here today, the 100-milers, that they're going to be competing in, and they need to qualify for each of them. So we get to cover that, as they'll have 4 laps with a lone qualifying. Every driver will have the track to themselves simultaneously. All of them have just started. So we're going to try and cover this and see how this shapes out. We saw that a couple drivers after up at the top, Sam Bourne, was also tied for that top time down to 1,000th of a second.
2 races, only 1 winner as they will combine the scores.
Exactly. So I believe, well, it's they average out the finishes is what I was told.
Yes.
So I believe how they do it if 2 drivers finish with a tie on their average, I do not know, unfortunately, but we'll try and get the information.
Rock, paper, scissors.
On board with Michael Thompson there we were, and he coming around to complete his first time lapped here. We'll see what he throws in here to get started.
Times start to come in thick and fast. Chad Barker up at the top. He's replaced by Bob Beltrami very quickly. Now, Sean, is this a case where first lap is usually your best in these cars, or do they get warmed up?
No, they do get warmed up. Now, a green tire, not such a bad thing on this car, but the second I turned some laps earlier in the qualifying and conditions, and I was able to get that second lap about 50% of the time, a little bit faster on it.
Currently, Lionel Callisto, your fastest driver, with a 30.2. However, he's coming in to the pit lane right now, so I'm not sure if he's going to try and get fresh tires and maybe go out for another one, or what his method is. Beltrami is right behind him at a 30.3. Actually, a pretty unexpectedly big gap, I'd say.
With a qualifying session that's 10 minutes long and a lap time that only takes about half a minute, there's plenty of time to do tricky strategies if you'd like to come in and out. As we look now at the 41 car of Chris Pence.
Ooh, and Pence into the wall.
That one won't count.
Certainly won't. Watching to see if anybody moves himself up the orders. Blake Reynolds, who has been on a tear with wins, has gotten himself into third with a 30.339. And Callisto has come back out on the track, so I'm starting to think maybe this is a ploy by him to get some fresh tires and get back out there.
Sam Bourne just had a faster lap on his second trip around. Or I'm sorry, on his third lap around, actually, that was. I got him up to 9th out of 13th.
Of the cars that have put laps in, I'm seeing Rob Gall has already completed his 4. Brian McGreevy as well. Most other drivers still on their second or third lap.
Wayne Hutchinson just completed his 4th lap, Joe. It's only good enough for 8th. Ray Partridge just moves up to 7th.
That just shows you how misleading practice times can be, as he was at the top of the practice charts.
Well, Partridge has 2 laps to go as we watch him work his way around in that Dog Bear Racing Red number 88 through 3 and 4. He could still improve from this 7th position. Let's see what he does as he swings it out to the wall and crosses the start-finish line. Looks like he does not improve that time by. Not seeing a lot of changing now as the qualifying winds down. Some of the drivers now just out there getting more warm-up laps in, just continuing to practice and see what they can do. Only a couple are left to finish. Clark Archer for the Alliance, or excuse me, for the Ride and Shotgun team.
Clark Archer, the winner in the Predator race at Le Mans.
He's going to stay in 13th,
really exemplifies how bizarre and different the race, what you have to do here in the Pacific Majors.
Go ahead, Sean.
Brian Grandin just completing his 3rd lap, Joe. The Elite West driver. Oh, and he climbs the wall actually at his exit at 2. Yeah, that's not going to be good.
He's still going at it, so maybe that was something where it just showed on our screen and he didn't actually touch the wall. See that Barnes is not going to complete his 4th lap. Of the drivers I'm watching to see if anybody else looks like they may come out. So things are starting to solidify. And I'm not sure if we're going to see much more in the way of movement. Anybody else who goes and completes their 4 laps might be waiting a little bit to see if they need a chance to go out and complete things. With that, why don't we take a little bit of break from watching the qualifying to send to Bill and see what our championships are looking like. Again, this is a penultimate round, so Bill, this one incredibly important on the lead up to the finale.
Yeah, and very strange as your top 2 drivers, Lionel Callisto and Joshua Wolf, neither one of those drivers actually has a win so far this season, and they sit really close. Only 7 points separate them in the top 2 spots. Still in the hunt. Now, you may be wondering, Blake Reynolds has 6 wins. Why is he not leading the championship? Well, truancy has been his big issue, as the Texas driver has missed several races, more than his drop races can allot for. So he is down, but still in the hump with 21 down there. Brian Bennett, he has a win earlier this season. He's sitting in 4th position. And then Trevor Varun-Borowski, the second, you can see there, the Grizzly Motorsports, sitting 2nd and 5th with Joshua Wolf and Trevor Varun-Borowski. Let's go ahead and look at the team champions, why don't we? And that's all Alliance Racing. Fleischle, Callisto, Bennett, Smith, and Toma doing most of the work there. Haven't seen much of Toma this year. Elite West, though, only 48 points back. And when you look at, if you take into account 4,100 points up there for Alliance, 48 points is really a small percentage of what's going on. So Elite West still very much in the hunt. Grizzly Motorsports with their 3 guys. We talked about Wolf and Borowski, also Travis Henderson in that group as well. Alliance Evolution down there, 218 back. Maybe Herzog, the big mover there. Clement has a win. Also Thornhorst, good score there. Mountain West Motorsports, 232 back. The one team that's got a lot of screen time that isn't on the chart, and that is Ride and Shotgun. Not up there, but they're always impressive.
especially on these ovals. We had a significant development during that points update. Trevor Clement has put himself on the front row next to Lionel Callisto. That will bump Blake Reynolds down to 4th. So this could have effects, as we've heard that track position will be incredibly important today. And I don't see anybody outrunning at the time. So with these 2 minutes and 40 seconds left, it looks like our order is set. We'll get to that qualifying order in a bit. But first, I want to talk about the tires and the fuel here, because fuel is essentially a non-issue, Sean, but there's been a lot of talk about tires and how they're going to play out during this race.
Well, Joe, you know what? I watch a lot of modified races every Saturday night with the Bootleg Racing League guys. You know, I think it's going to be a bit of a toss-up. I honestly think I would not be surprised to see drivers favor position over tires. You can make it on 100 tires in the real world when they run 200 laps here at Loudon on the Whelen Modified Tour. It's not uncommon for them to go until about 125, 140 on a set of tires. I think you can do it tonight as long as you take care of them. If you find yourself fighting a majority of the time, then I think the tires will be an option that you'll want to consider, maybe on a late caution with about 25 or 30 laps to go. It does take a while, though, to get the tires changed, and going up on the jacks, it's a bit, you will lose a lot of positions, more than likely slot to the back of the pack.
So we ride with Trevor Vrosky, one of only 2 drivers who have not set a time here in the Pro Split currently. So he is right now gridded in last, and as he comes up the line, he's going to come to a halt, so he doesn't like that one. There is Chris Pence out there, but he's just completed his 4th lap, so he is done with his qualifying. He's going to finish 14th when we start the race in that Budweiser machine. And I think that should be it for qualifying. So with that, I do think we should go through our starting grid and give you what the order is going to be. On the pole, Lionel Callisto, our points leader, is starting this one off well. Let's see if he can carry it over into race pace. Trevor Clement is going to be starting next to him with a 30.238. There was only 2 100s between the front row. Bob Beltrami will be starting in 3rd, and he's followed in 4th by Blake Reynolds. Chad Barker will start the race in the 5th position, followed by Rob Gall. Inside of row 4 will be Richie Hearn. Then Ray Partridge will start in 8th. Behind them, Brian Grandin starts in 9th, and Wayne Hutchison will start in 10th. Bill?
In 11th, it's Brandon Chappelle. Sam Bourne after him. Thomas Lovelady back after winning the snowball races back here again in 13th. Chris Pence, Clark Archer go 14th and 15th. Mark Herzog behind them. Brian Bennett in 17th. Brian Barnes in his traditional blue popsicle machine making his 50th start today. Congratulations to him. 50th consecutive start in a pack major race. Brian McGreedy in the 19th position. And then Grizzly Motorsports driver Joshua Wolf running out the top 20. Sean, what do you got left there?
I got the rest, and it's going to be Michael Thompson starting in row 11 there. Travis Henderson going to start outside him. Claude Belleville, 23rd there for him. Trevor Vrosky will start 24th, and Matthew Thunhorst, I'm sorry, no R there. Matthew going to start 25th today, a 25-car field here at New Hampshire. Should be a lot of fun, boys.
Fun, and maybe a bit of nostalgia for you as well, Sean, for our viewers that haven't watched a lot of GSRC. You actually grew up around these types of cars and this type of racing.
I sure did. Riverhead Raceway in Riverhead, New York, my home track. And they just wrapped up their season last weekend. And the Tour Modifieds actually wrapped up their season today at Thompson Motor Speedway over in Thompson, Connecticut, just down the road here from Loudon.
And your daddy used to race some, right, Sean?
Yes, and that's probably what Joe was getting at. I missed the obvious one. Yes, my hero, my favorite sports star of all time. My dad, Junior Ambrose, ran these modifieds from the mid 60s into the late 70s, and spent a lot of weekends at the track. It was long before they were the Whelen Tour Modifieds, a little bit different back then, but certainly the spirit of the car and the legend that is the modified division certainly holds up well in today's current Tour Modifieds.
Well, they have started the pace lap. Only a single pace lap with it being a mile track. And the Mustang pace car will duck in out of turn 4. Then we start racing for the first of 2 100-lap races here for the Lion Tamer Beard Care England Twin 100s. New England Twin 100s.
Come on, get that down, Joe.
Yep, I'm getting it. I'm working on it. At least I got the sponsor name right. And a lot of racing indeed here tonight for our race fans. As the pace car comes off of 4, Lionel Callisto is going to be able to take control of the field. Can he finally get his first win this season? We'll find out as they go green here at New England. Gets a good jump on Trevor Clement. Blake Reynolds slots into 3rd ahead of Beltrami, able to take the position away a couple too wide, farther back in the 7th and 8th positions.
Already looking to go line astern here around the track, Joe. They're fighting hard back here.
Sean, from what we're hearing and seeing during the warm-up, the high line seems to be the desirable one so far.
Yeah, that's where the momentum is. That's the way you get the speed out of this car, is up top. Kind of glide it through the turns here.
Up at the front, our lead pack of 3 starting to split away a little bit, and that is Callisto, Clement, and Reynolds getting away from Beltrami the Salami, who's got himself his own little piece of track in the number 14. Nothing ahead, nothing behind.
Wayne Hutchison tried to make a move underneath the 23, and they touch. The 17 of Hutchison gets it straightened back out. He got together with Cheffel, and Hutchison's going to lose momentum down on the low side. Lovelady gets by him, as does Sam Bourne.
Warren's working on it, though. He hasn't fully gotten past. Meanwhile, Lovelady looking to the inside of Chapel and not able to do anything with it. Now Bourne finally fully passed the car of Hutchison. Eventually gets himself a clear piece of track that he can slip up into, but he stays low, actually.
He does. Hutchison is still kind of searching for his line to get around. Finally got a little bit of clean track to work with there. Brian Bennett takes it all the way up to the wall in front of him. Bennett looking to the inside of Sam Bourne. He's going to make this pass going into turn 2.
Now, do you think some of this hard racing early will hurt some of these drivers later on? We understand that tire preservation comes into account.
Yeah, you know what you do now may hurt you later for sure. Boy, look at who's that 65 there, Bourne going all the way up the track there. That car got a little push in it.
Bennett not shy in these early stages. He manages to overtake Lovelady down the front stretch into turn 1. Lovelady tries to come back at him on the low side, but as we've seen, that high side has the momentum off the corner and stretches away. The number 12. Oh no, the Lovelady is number 2. Oh, he took away Lionel Callisto's number. I was surprised for a moment there. But he is certainly using up his tires now, and wonder if that will hurt him later on.
We have a lap car already, Claude Belval, the Canadian driver, who put in a ton of practice time preparing for this one.
Yeah,
trying to get all the way, and actually puts it up in the wall a little bit.
He started from the pit for some reason, Sue, but I'm not really sure why.
Possibly expected a little bit of early cautions to allow him to get back into this, but it's certainly not come to fruition. We wondered whether or not we would see a lot of chaos, and so far, commentator's curse notwithstanding, it's been uneventful.
Boy, Mark Herzog is under attack right now. He's got 4 cars right behind him. Herzog was trying to get around Clark Archer, and he had to back out of it, and all of a sudden, Chris Pence, Brian Barnes, Joshua Wolf were all at his back door there.
Just look at this, Billy. It's a cork in the bottle, as there is a whole train of cars, some of which are side by side, climbing all over Herzog at the moment.
Don't worry about it, Mark. Just hang in there, buddy. That's all part of short track racing.
You can see the number 41 holding off, Chris Pitts. Oh, and that's Brian Barnes up into the wall. Tipped up very quickly.
You got a little help from Brian McGreevy.
Just a little there, Soup. You hit the nail on the head. McGreevy just kind of maybe gets in a little bit hot, doesn't lift or brake there as soon as he should have. Makes a little bit of contact there with Barnes.
Watch on board looking back over the spoiler. Certainly shoots in there. Now they do have a spare car, Bill, and for our viewers who aren't familiar with iRacing, we talk about a free repair. What exactly does that mean for the drivers?
Well, if you get your car damaged, you actually come on in and abracadabra, you get a brand new fresh car. Now, you don't get fresh tires. If you want tires, you have to actually change those. I'm not so sure if you want to use it up this early. We have 100 laps. We're only 9 laps in. Sometimes you want to keep that ace in the hole, play it a little bit later.
This has come in handy for a few drivers over the course of the Pacific Majors.
Look at this, Sean. We were wondering what was going to happen with pit stops. And it looks like all the guys up front are going to stay out. Joshua Wolf, the first one to bite back in 19th. And that kind of makes sense. Not a lot of track position to lose back there. You know, he was, what, about 4th or 5th in line. What's going to end up happening is the guys up front are actually going to be a little slower than the guys in the back that keep getting that fresh rubber.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. With passing at a premium and a green flag run ready to erupt at any moment, I just, it's going to be tough. I think Barnes came on the radio here and said he was going to have to take his fast repair round, and it looks like based on his time in the pit there, I believe that's the case. Yeah.
You saw him racing with the sponsor, the race sponsor on the car, along with the popsicle for Brian Barnes. A product that I approve of, by the way.
Yes, Soup, I endorse that product fully myself.
You guys taking the DeWars approach here of trying to get yourself a little bit of free product?
We're hoping so. Maybe get a little...
We are always down for some beard product, buddy.
Free product coming our way. It's a very manly product, a lion tamer. You know, sounds like a bunch of guys that couldn't make it into the Village People. They got lion tamer. They got plank walker. That's kind of cool. Like you're a pirate, you have to plank walker, and then the other one is storm chaser. Oh, those are... That was
the backup band, Soup.
That's right.
All right, so your starting order when we come back around for the green. Callisto leads. Clement is in second. Reynolds still in third. That hasn't changed since they came to turn one. Bob Beltrami, who qualified in third, has slipped back to fourth. Richie Hearn has got himself up into fifth. He qualified in seventh. So Hearn making up a couple positions early on in this race. Rob Gall is in sixth. Grant in seventh. Barker eighth. Partridge ninth. And Chappell will round out our top 10. Now, we have a note about Belval. I'm trying to understand. Belval was our lucky dog here.
Yep, he's going to get back on the lead lap with everybody after starting in the pit. So that paid off for him.
Yeah.
Our director's using oval lingo with me, and I'm still getting up to speed here.
I thought it meant Larry David. I saw the LD. I couldn't figure it out. Talking about
Larry
David. Yeah. What the heck is he talking about? Okay, I got it now.
All right, they are now double file getting ready for the restart. Let's hope we don't get a cautions breed caution situation. So, as they come around 3 and 4, Callisto, and that number 16. Let's see what kind of jump he can get, running the traditional Miller colors that he does every week. Very solid jump. Immediately, the number 111 of Clement moves into second. Ooh, down low there for Blake Reynolds. Already spying an opportunity. Let's see if he can get the power off the corner, but just not enough as he loses traction.
You know, let's follow up on Reynolds a bit there as we look at him in the 66 car. Oh, man, he's trying to get down underneath. He's got that black license. He's a pro driver. An oval license, but surprisingly, most of his wins here in the Pac Majors have come on road courses.
Go figure. I guess the skills translate. Yeah. If you're a fast driver, you're a fast driver. Meanwhile, battle happening between Hearn and I believe that's Barker. Yes, up on the outside of the number 51. He's got Brian Grandin now sneaking up the inside as they come down to turn 3, seeing if he can pry another position away from him. Oh, he gets very close as he washes up through 3.
And, another battle right behind them is Bennett and Partridge going at it right now. Bennett stuck down on the inside. Partridge, high, wide, and handsome, trying to hang on, keep the momentum going. But no, Bennett's not going to have anything to do with it. He dusts him. Now Bennett getting to work on Brandon Chapel.
One thing that
Chappelle.
is a little different from the bootleg series that they have here is open setups. I wonder if maybe Bennett didn't have a good qualifying setup, but got himself a great one for the race here, because he is just moving up and up.
Well, I will tell you here at this track, setup definitely going to help you get around. Bennett really has a car that's handling well.
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no.
That was Bennett on the low side with Barker on the outside and Chapel, the sandwich meat in the middle, but he backs out of it. Watch that from above. Did not expect 3 wide in the first 20 laps of this race, Bill.
Yeah, way too early to be doing this, but they make it work. And Sean, what's kind of interesting is it's hard for me to get my mind around. I'm so used to calling with you those bootleg races.
Oh,
we have
just
Finn.
ahead of him. Richie Hearn. As Richie Hearn making a little bit of contact, I think.
Rob Gall.
Yeah, with Gall.
A little bit of apologies back and forth between them. Hearn, the car behind, you can see just comes in very similar to what we saw before, just a little too hot. Didn't expect him to slow and gave him a tip. Not the good kind either.
Right in front of that pack of cars, too, and everybody gets through there.
Watching from onboard Richie. Elite West driver just caught out a little bit. Tried to slow it up. You can see that part of what turned his car around. Let's see, someone went in the middle. I'm trying to find out which car that was. Yeah, Grandin was the one that did a beautiful job getting out of the throttle. Woo, what a view.
Yeah. Quite an adventure for Brian Grandin there.
Let's paint a picture of what is happening with the points, though, as the drivers, some of whom actually come in for pit stops. Looks like Chad Barker is going to be one of them that takes it this time in. Travis Henderson as well coming in for tires. A few others behind him. But, so Bill, we essentially have 400 points up for grab. That's 200 points for each win of the remaining races. So that leaves, without taking into account the drop weeks, 22 drivers mathematically into it. Now, once we take into account drop weeks, that'll change the picture, but that's a little bit difficult with the way they do it with the the pack majors. But realistically, who are we looking at being the major players in these last 2 races?
Well, I think obviously Kalisto and Wolf. The question is, I'm not sure how Reynolds stands, and as he's looking to get more points here today, where he stands in relationship to the drop weeks. And usually, to pull back the curtain on GSRC in our broadcast, usually I am up on top of drop race and how they play out. But here in the pack majors, you actually get to drop, I think, a couple road and a couple, I think one road and one oval.
One road and one oval, yes.
So it's kind of hard to figure out exactly where they stand right now. The question is, I would think, even though as you go back all the way back to Bennett, who's only 50 back, and even Trevor Borowski, who was he was in 3rd place last time. He's down in 5th, so he dropped 2 positions. I think anybody at least in that top 5 is open to get the championship.
Honestly, I would agree with that. The top 3 are the ones that I've got my eye on: Wolf, Kalisto, and Reynolds. Reynolds mainly because even though he's 50 back, the amount of wins he's racked up seems like you just can't count him out.
And really, it's 2 different type of worlds. You have Kalisto, a veteran of the series, who I was shocked to find out had never won a championship. He's still looking to get his. And then you have this newcomer, Joshua Wolf, coming in from Grizzly Motorsports in the hunt as well. So you got a rookie, you got a veteran, and then you got the pro.
We're doubled up, so we're getting ready to go green. Interesting note about Kalisto. Usually he's number 2. He's not today. But typically, the story goes, he runs that number 2 is because he's finished 2nd in the championship so many times. Let's see if he can change that as he leads us back in P1 across the stripe. We go green flag racing. Clement in that 2nd spot. We're seeing a replay of last time as Reynolds tries to stick his nose in, looking to take it away on the low side. He's actually staying ahead as they come off the corner. Doesn't have the speed as it goes back to Reynolds, the number 111, down into turn 3. He carries it up high, tries to keep it in it, but once again it swings back in favor of Reynolds. Staying side by side. They're now dropping back from Callisto with this battling.
Sam Bourne makes contact with Ray Partridge. Partridge able to hang on to it. Boy, that was a close moment. Partridge almost all the way around.
No caution. Everybody stays in it. We're going to look at the replay. This is starting to become a familiar story as we see from the replay.
Boy.
Turn 1 seems to be the danger zone. Oh, Beltrami.
He just came across the nose of the 12 car of Brian Bennett.
Few cars involved.
Oh, and
in
then Bennett gets slammed into. That was the 9 of Richie Hearn. Could not get it woed up.
They were just spread across the middle of the track, and with a few cars too wide, there was not enough space. You can see here from the replay as the cars come sliding in, trying to avoid them. Let's watch on board Bennett's view. Fortunately, that blew Bennett's engine. Just a little bit too close a racing from what it looked like when you come together on the straight like that.
It really was. You see Richie Hearn here. He's going to try and avoid by getting on the brakes, and when he does, the car brakes around and goes into a slide.
And you can see why he was so low. He was in a mess of cars. Couldn't see what was happening until the last second. Oh, looks like he got a push from that onboard view.
Bennett able to get his car back into the pit, wheel it around.
Unfortunate to see for a driver who had so much pace here. We're only 24 laps in. Again, you are watching the Lion Tamer Beard Care New England Twin 100s here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We're on round 13 of the Pacific Majors. This is the penultimate race, so we're getting into the thick of it in the points championships. Speaking of which, do we have any of the other championships to go over since we're on another caution? Not sure if we...
Why don't we talk about the Sportsman's Championship here, as Joe catches me by surprise, but he thinks that I cannot find it in my script, but watch this as I instantly
it's on the screen
can.
There for you, Bill.
Oh, there, it's on the screen. I can do it up there. How about Trevor Clement? I've done these before, trust me. How about Trevor Clement? He's, he won on dirt. I would think that would transfer over here into this short track racing that we have going on here. He got his win there. He sits at the top of the points. Now you got Mark Herzog, which I do not believe is in this split. Oh, no, he is in the split, racing currently in 7th position. Apologies to Mark. D. Palmer and Jared Morgan. Morgan up a spot there into 4th. And Stephen Paulison rounding it out. Look at that. You have 3 Northwest drivers at the bottom, 1 California driver, and then the West driver leading the way. And that's your Sportsman for drivers that are I-rating challenged.
And it looks like we're already getting double file once again. Going to have a restart. Only quarter of the way through this race.
Sean, top 12 drivers have not come in for a stop.
That's right, Soup. And position very, very important up here to these guys.
Having watched a lot of these modified races, what are you thinking so far? We got a lot of guys that might not have run these cars before. What are your impressions, Sean?
My impressions are actually... I think we've done a pretty good job getting this race started. I think this might be the time we see him cut loose here for more than, let's say, 8 to 9 laps. Maybe we're in for about a 20 to 30 lap run. Then we can see what these leaders, these top 12, have for the rest of the field.
All right, let's see what they have in store for us. Pace car peels off. Lead goes back to Lionel Callisto, our pole sitter. Gets himself in front of the number 111, who already has Blake Reynolds looking low. Once again, he's going to keep trying it until it works. Let's see if this plays out in his favor this time. Oh, I think it might. Look at that. Oh, Clement gets in the wall. That definitely hands second place to Reynolds.
That's making hay while the sunshine there, but he drove that thing in deep and then made it stick.
Sam Bourne struggled a little bit there on the start, guys, as Thomas Lovelady getting by him now, and Lovelady turns. Lovelady's up and over.
Oh, he was cartwheeling down, and we have the other car up on his lid as well.
Oh, my. That's Clark Archer on his lid. Brian McGreevy got up under that.
All right, looking at the replay, Sam Bourne was also involved in that. Got actually caught on the top of another car for a moment.
I'm going to put that on Netco, guys. I mean, they were close, and the two was definitely coming up the track a little bit. But listen, Lovelady did not make contact there. He didn't. It just, there was space there.
Watching on board from Dog Bear Red's Ray Partridge, somehow just narrowly escapes it, goes under a car we saw on his replay. Bill, you're usually the one that keeps the A Beautiful Mind style notes everywhere. Are you keeping track of who's got car contact incidents so far?
Well, I tried to. That was tough. I know that was a tough one on Shotgun Racing, as two of their top drivers involved in that one. You could see those wood panel cars both spinning around.
I'm starting to think we are going to see a couple DQs before this race is over. Thankfully, I believe they should be allowed to come back for the second race. They get 13 each. Now, I think we're still catching the pace car here.
Yeah, everybody's still cycling around trying to get caught up here.
Where is the pace car? I'm trying to find it myself. Oh, I see. He's coming into turn 3.
Yeah, apparently there was a little bit of confusion on the driver's behalf about where they should have been when the pace car came out, and they waited. And now everybody's having to come around and get caught up. Here they come.
All right, now Kalisto is on the tail end of the Mustang. As we said, this is a series which runs a lot of different types of cars. Some of these drivers not necessarily regular oval drivers, although some who have been in the series for a while should be getting a little bit more used to how often they run ovals in this series and getting adjusted to all the different nuances that come with it. But still, Bill, this is very much a series. There's a reason they call it the Mario Andretti's Drivers' Championship.
Oh, they got to race everything. They're racing super late models to open the season. They got the Predator races with the Porsche car, Gen 6 races going on. Even a Kia that Blake Reynolds got a win in. The DW12 one time. My God, they've raced the dirt cars and even Formula One when we did that at Spa. So yeah, it's got to be a jack of all trades.
Brian Bennett taking the lucky dog this time. So he's going to swing around this mile-long track and get back to the front. I think we're already, because of the confusion with the pace car, it looks like we're already coming back, potentially, here?
No, the light's still on,
They're still
Joe.
on. Okay,
Yep.
They're getting double wide for no reason up at the front.
Let's bring up the Legends overlay there. We'll talk a little about Brian Bennett. We just saw him getting that lucky dog. 1,700 points. I like it when they come up to a nice round number there, as he's out in front of Brian Barnes. Those two drivers, both Northwest. Another Northwest driver, Wayne Hutchinson, down there in third. California driver, Bob the Salami Beltrami. We have him out here today racing. He's in fourth position. And then Rob Gall, a veteran of the series, and from the West as well, Joe's club, down there in fifth.
It's the championship that could use the beard tamer the most, I guess.
A lot of long beards down there in the Legends. But we don't need much Brill cream, as most of us are bald.
So far, I'm looking down.
Sorry.
I'll finish it now.
Brill cream, a little dab will do you.
Thank you. All right.
Gosh.
Sorry, guys.
See what
Left
you
me
did,
hanging, man. Well,
you really want to encourage Sean to sing.
hey, I did a complete race the other day in the Lionheart series, cliche free. I had a little bit of wet through withdrawals, but it was fun.
I figured just because you were a music teacher, you're used to bad singing, so maybe it doesn't bother you as much.
Yeah, everyone knows how to sing. It's just a matter of how well.
All right. We are now double file for sure, as the lights are off on the pace car. And this time it's going to be Blake Reynolds on the outside. Now he's been starting in third for all of these restarts, except for the very first green flag, of course. And he was using that to try to get to the inside of Clement. Now what's he going to do now that he's on the outside? Can he get himself a good enough jump to try and challenge Kalisto?
Sean, he's on the outside, kind of where he wants to be. Kalisto almost at a disadvantage here right now.
Yeah, almost. The 41's still trying to get in position back here. Here we go, guys.
He did manage to get in front of Reynolds, and he swings up to the high side as quickly as he can. Meanwhile, we're seeing the tables turned as Clement tries to do exactly what Reynolds did, but without as much success. And he's going to have to hold on to third. In fact, as he swings up to the high side, looks like Grandin has more momentum, so he goes down low, looking to see if he can take the podium spot away. Brandon working hard on that low line, but finds the difficulty that so many others have had on that lesser banking on the low side, and he's going to have to settle for fourth. Most everybody in the
back in 11th position. Maybe we can go back there. They settle down up front. Trevor Borowski, he's our hard charger right now. Started in 24th. He's up 13 spots into 11th. He's in a battle, and he's got the 10 car on the outside of him, Sean. That is McGreevy.
Yep.
Sorry, that's the 68 car. There's McGreevy on the inside, Borowski and the 10 car on the high side.
Broski using the momentum on that high side to see if he can stay ahead of McGreevy. They're going to stay just about dead even through the middle of the corner, but as it comes out of it, you can see that number 10 start to eke his way ahead and get into the top 10.
And that's going to let the 13 car of Thunhurst have a shot to get up there. The 68 of McGreevy scared to come up and try to close the door. So you get that momentum going on the top side. Boy, that is the place to be. Opposite from what we're used to seeing over in the bootleg series. Highline is the drive they have today.
Okay. Lots of battling here in the back of the field. Still side-by-side racing. Richie Hearn trying to get by the damaged car of Rob Gall. Even though his modified is damaged, the front end beat up pretty good. The chrome horn all bent. Hearn gets down there on the bottom. Gall still able to make that car drive off the top.
Hearn's of course trying to get his lap back. Oh, yes. And an accident behind them. Big one. Looks like Pence involved in this. Archer is sneaking his way through, manages to avoid it. Barker was in there. Henderson was.
Started with Pence and Henderson getting together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree there. Side-by-side bumping. Just looks like a racing incident to me.
That brought in Chad Barker, and the 51 comes in. Go ahead, John.
Those two elite West drivers, Thomas Lovelady and Michael Thompson, I mean, that was just tragic for both of them.
They were back there side by side with a totally blocked racetrack. You see those blue and yellow cars, those elite West drivers, nowhere to go for them.
Lovelady on his roof, the 7 just beat up beyond recognition practically.
Looks like Henderson had to take a tow as well to get himself back into his pit stall, and that's going to put himself laps down. Pretty sure that's the second incident we've seen Henderson involved in, so I suspect his spare car might already be gone. With
Clark Archer did a good job of getting on the brakes there and letting everybody go by, Joe. All right, you got it.
Absolutely, yes. We're going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back for the restart as we're not even halfway through this first race of round 13 in the Pacific Majors. Welcome back to New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We're going to get a restart here on lap 43 of 100 for the Lion Tamer Beard Care New England Twin 100s, the first race of the two currently. Your leader when we take the green is going to be Callisto. Reynolds will start outside of him. Clement will start in third, and Grandin will restart in fourth, and those will be your first two rows. Drivers, looks like maybe trying to warm the tires up here, braking and accelerating here behind the pace car. Interesting to see them play some games as the Mustang pace car peels off into the pit lane. Reynolds waiting.
Boy, really stacking up back here.
We got a decent run, but Callisto still is able to get up there. And look at this, number 111 now inside. Clement trying to pull what Reynolds did on him. He's going to be able to stay side by side as they come off the corner. This is his best opportunity so far. And just real quick, we also had a lucky dog for Richie Hearn before that restart. That gets him one lap back, and I think actually on the lead lap. And after 3 and 4, finally, Clement has to give it up. But behind him, a battle for fourth position. Grandin stays ahead of Herzog.
Boy, and Joe back here, battle right now. Ray Partridge, Trevor Vrosky fighting for this 8th spot. Vrosky up 15 spots through the field. Partridge, though, got a nice run there up on the top groove. Vrosky going to lose it, step back in line. Watch out, here comes Thurnhorst. I keep doing Thurnhorst. I'll get it right, buddy, I promise.
All right, Vrosky, the Grizzly Motorsports driver, holds on to that high line. Oh, behind them an accident, though.
Car. Joshua Wolf, and he gets collected by the 56. That was Claude Baval.
This is not going to help Wolf's championship chances. Watching on the replay from above.
Yeah. McGreevy going to get him there. Just a little bit of contact, but that's all it takes when you're in the middle of a turn like that.
And you know what? I think McGreevy, if you stay on this, I think he goes to visit Rod Serling here after this one. Let's see if he blinks away. Just stay on this for just a few seconds after the contact. And all of a sudden we're on board, and then we're not on board.
Well, there seems to be our first confirmed victim of the incident limit in this first race. I think Belval might have also fallen to it.
Sean, what's our line? I hope Rod Serling bought enough beer because the party's just getting started out there.
Yes, it is. I'm a little surprised. I didn't think that would be an issue, but we've had a lot of cautions here just now getting to the halfway point. And, it's probably the speed and reaction time of these cars. It's really, they're a little slow getting up to full speed, and guess what? They're a little slow to brake sometimes when you've got that head of steam going, and because of that, we've probably had a few more contact points being issued out there because of that situation.
Some other major players involved in that. Richie Hearn was in there, who now has lost a lap. Clark Archer was also involved in that. Archer's actually just now coming out of the pits. That leaves us with, I believe, 16 cars on the lead lap.
And the top 8 have yet to come in for a stop. And honestly, Sean, many of those cars that did come in for a stop, probably most of those are damage, fast repair type things. I don't think a lot of them were just out of choice.
Yeah.
Brian Bennett could be our lucky dog for this caution flag. I think that should put him back on the lead lap. Indeed, it does.
All your drivers here currently in the top 8, though, Bill. No pit stop.
Nope.
The position up here is important, and at the frequency of the cautions that we've had right now, it's not a bad strategy to just stay on track and you run good, keep it clean until the next caution, basically.
Really, you look at all those drivers in the top 8th that didn't stop. They're all basically in the same place they qualified, with the exception of Mark Herzog, who's had a great job. 16th, he is up racing in 5th.
Sean, do these cautions help the tires out in the sense of cooling them down? Is it mostly a heat issue, or does just the wear and tear stay with it and they're going to be bad even on the restart?
No, they certainly help. Cooling these tires off is a good thing. It helps them, and it also preserves them. Right now, like I said, these guys up front haven't come into the pit. Well, they haven't come in because they don't really need to. The tires feeling pretty good. Now, if you're back there battling in those positions towards the back, and you've got a lot of guys around you coming in for fresh tires, you might as well take them. But no, I don't think anyone up front minds these caution periods, because they do settle the tires down a bit. And again, it's more time on track you get with them racing. But right now, I would think guys like Callisto and Blake Reynolds, Clement, Grandin, they love the tires they've got on the car right now.
And just to quickly illustrate before we go green, Callisto's early lap times, 30.4, 30.6, that's lap 3 and 4. He ran in lap 44, he ran a 30.5, so they're relatively still pretty fast.
Sounds like no issue out there as long as they keep getting these intermittent cautions. So as we come back to green, and the Mustang pace car once again peels into the pit lane, it's going to be Lionel Callisto leading them away. And I'm noticing each time Reynolds getting a little bit better on these restarts. This time he's almost side by side fully. By the time they hit this first corner, he's got the desired outside line. Could this mean Blake Reynolds taking the lead away from Lionel Callisto? Remember, Reynolds is chasing in the championship. He has to be aggressive. He has to finish ahead of Callisto.
Look at that top line work.
Ooh, he gets ahead down into 3 and 4. He's got to carry the speed off of it. And I think he's got it. This lap is going to be led by Blake Reynolds. Close racing behind them as the number 111 dives to the inside, almost comes up into Brian Grandin, but they stay out of each other.
They did a little Nerf bar banging back there on the straight. And it does look like Clement got to go ahead and clear him now.
Callisto closes back in on the rear of Reynolds. Should note, though, interestingly, that the win itself won't matter as much as your average finishing position. That will determine the points you get out of these two races. Meanwhile, battle for third still up for grabs. Clement holding that high side. Grandin trying to see what he can do down on the low side as the car washes up. Tries to keep it out of the 111. Does so successfully, but also loses his momentum.
Yeah, and Herzog just behind them. He's digging hard. He was really, really loose back off of turn 2.
You can see we've got a pair of twos up at the front of the field. First and second, third and fourth. Very close together before... Actually, we got another pair of twos, and that is Herzog and Chappell now fighting for 5th and 6th behind them. Almost tandem racing out here. Ooh, battle for the lead as Callisto took a look on the inside of Reynolds for a moment. We were riding on board with Chappell there, who got very close to the car ahead, but just no dice on that low line for the number 16.
Sean, I worry that Callisto, if he does that too often, he's going to use up his stuff.
I worry that that could be the case too. Man, Thunhorst and Hutchinson having a really, really big battle right here, right now. This is for 9th. I gotta be careful there, Wayne.
Wayne almost gets into the side of him as he backs it out mid-corner. And that's going to lose him all kinds of speed. The number 17 has to stay behind Thunhorst for now. Wayne in 10th. Matthew in 9th. Battle back on for the lead once again. On the high side, Reynolds still defending that upper lane. Now, you mentioned, Bill, about being worried of Callisto using up his stuff. Remember, Reynolds had to use that line a whole bunch to get up there to the front, though.
Yeah, so, boy, he is really on him right now. We're talking Callisto. So often it's a case of just having to sit back there and wait for the guy in front to make a mistake. Unfortunately, you got Blake Reynolds that you're waiting for a mistake to happen from, and those don't come that often. Look at this, though. Callisto is fast. Oh, man, he dives
wants it
really deep.
Here's the question, though, and it seems like we're seeing the answer here as Kalisto still going side by side, but can't get the speed to carry it down the front stretch. Is he going to dive it in deep down into the first corner? He tries, but they're about dead even on entry. But if you're Kalisto... Oh, wow. Wow. How did he get up and in there? He's not going to have the speed coming onto the straight, and the low side is going to go down to Reynolds now. Is he going to be able to trade places once again down into 3?
But at least Kalisto's happier to be on the top side.
Certainly seems to be the case. Can he finally get ahead of him? Reynolds not giving up. Now he slots in a line, and this has kept Clement up with them to keep it a 3-way battle. But what I was going to ask, Bill, is if you're Lionel Kalisto, you know that that Reynolds is 50 points back. He has to take a lot to try and beat him to this championship. Do you fight that hard, knowing that even if he wins both races and takes it away from him, that's barely going to make a dent into his championship lead?
Usually, if it wasn't Lionel Kalisto, I would say they're out there. Racers are racers. They're gonna race. But I know how important a championship is to Kalisto. I know he's talking big picture. Yeah, I would not doubt that in the back of his mind, he's thinking, ugh. We have to make sure, if there is a problem here, I want to make sure that I don't come out worse for wear between the two of us.
Hey there, fellas. We've got to pay attention to Matthew Thunhorst. He has been picking him up and slamming him down. Up to 7th place, up to 18 spots. He managed to get by Ray Partridge and Trevor Favroski. Favroski dropping through the field now, as actually Ray Partridge just got around him. But Thunhorst is on rails right now. He's going to be back to Brandon Chappelle in just a quick moment here. Already reeling him in. Thunhorst having quite a drive here, guys, after that last restart.
Yeah, Bobrovsky's certainly in the thick of it now. Got a car in front in the form of Partridge, car behind in the form of Hutchison. He's also got Beltrami the Salami. That's for position, despite being involved in multiple incidents. Number 14, not letting this race get away from him, sitting in 11th right now.
You talked about Thunhorst. He is the leader of the Great Plains Club. I know they don't score a lot of points, but he's their top driver.
Rolling with that number 13 that we talked about early on, guys.
Race number 13 as well. But he's up in 7th. Ahead of him, a little bit of battle between Chappell and Herzog. Herzog, another great mover, started 16th. He's running 5th. Almost a little bit of chrome horn there from Belval, or from Chappell, rather.
Yeah, that was the first tap. That was the hi. I'm Brandon Chappell. I'm here. The next one will be the one that says, "Okay, now you're maybe a little bit in my way, and I want to come through." Chappell got his own problems to deal with, though. Here comes Thunderhorse trying to pick up another spot.
Yeah,
I told you he was going to get there quick, guys.
Brandon had a big slide through 3 and 4, cost him a lot of time, but Thunhorst, seeing what he can do to stick his nose in, working that low side, has found the grip off the corner on that line that some others just can't seem to get. And speaking of which, we haven't seen a whole lot in the way of track evolution with that low line coming in. And then we're starting to get a little bit of a green flag run, and Thunhorst proving it could be possible. Do you think we're going to be able to see it here, Sean?
I don't know. I will say this. Thunhorst now, just about, and he makes a little bit of contact there, just a little bit. Chappell going to go ahead and roll out of it there, but Thunhorst has been in the pits. He's changed tires, so he is actually working on fresher tires as they're getting by the 2. That's Thomas Lovelady, laps down.
Yeah, Lovelady in a very damaged car. He's just trying to rack up points. Unfortunate to see that number 2 not doing well. Remember, he won that first round at short track racing. And the super lates, who's got a whole pack of cars behind him now. Look at this mess. Everybody manages to get through. I don't know how, but there's some side-by-side action happening because of that. Beltrami and Bennett working on it, but Beltrami uses that momentum of the high side to get him up and alongside Sam Boren. Boren multiple laps down, though, so not really a fight for position.
Sean, my guess is that new tires may not help you so much with your lap time, but I bet you they're really helpful when you're trying to race that inside line. And that's what Thunhurst has, is 20 laps fresher tires. At least he has a better chance of putting the car in those ugly places than the guys.
We're seeing 3 wide here on the screen. Boren was in the middle. Remember, he's laps down. He's not fighting for spots, but Bennett is with the car of Hutchison up on that high side. 17 tries to come back at him. And right now is when I think Bennett would wish Boren would disappear because he wants that low line. We're going to see 3 wide again. Looks like not. 17 falls back.
Now, Sam, what you got to do is you got to pick a racing line that's not the middle line. That's my suggestion.
Wow. Dunhorst just picks up another spot, guys. He gets around his teammate. That puts Mark Herzog down another spot. Dunhorst now in a top 5 position.
What an impressive run. I believe Thunhorst was one of the ones that started this race without a qualifying time. Was he the one that started from pit lane, actually?
No, that was not him.
That was Claude, yeah.
Yeah. But he's 25. He started in 25th position, up 20 spots. What he's hoping for now is he's thinking about rivers in China and ribbons around old oak trees. He needs something yellow to get him back up there with the front runners, where he can fight for the lead.
Boy, Soup, I wonder if he wants. I mean, we've got 31 laps left. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's making decent ground on everybody in front of him right now. A caution would definitely get him closer, but I think it would even him out with the rest of the guys in front of him. Should we get that caution?
Lap 70, 30 to go. Fight that I'm watching right now is Beltrami down in 12th. He's got the inside on Wayne Hutchison. He's been trying everything he can to get past that number 17, but thus far has just been stuck door to door.
Yeah, when they're side by side for that many laps, you start to wonder, all right, how long can they keep at this before somebody makes contact or makes a mistake? And Beltrami's in that position down there where it's very easy for that car to run up the track all of a sudden without much warning.
Bob's been involved in multiple incidents so far, but this time he squeaks through. Now they finally get single file, and the Salami gets that P11.
And stays on the sandwich at the same time, so that's good stuff.
Let's go up front for a second because we have our 3 leaders that are coming up. They're lapping Brian Barnes. That's a legitimate lap for position. But I'll tell you, back there, the guy that's going to have trouble staying in business as a doctor because he's losing patience is Trevor Clement. He is really pestering. He's been really on the back of Reynolds.
He's certainly been staying in this fight. Clement he started this race in 2nd. He was on the front row, so him being back in 3rd, he wants to move back up because he knows that's where he should be. But Reynolds has been a pest to these guys. It has been challenging not just for these top spots, but for the lead. As these 3 continue to stretch away from the rest of the field, the next car back is Grandin at 2 seconds away.
Now, something I have started to notice, Joe, and I'm watching the little train up there at the top of the field. The rear end's starting to get a little bit sketchy on these cars, and with a little less than 30 laps to go, starting to see the effect of running out these tires for a full 100 laps. Now, Blake Reynolds looking to the inside here.
Be careful. He gets very loose, tries to hold the car together, and wiggles its way up.
Wow.
Beautiful save from Blake. And now I wonder if Trevor Clement is going to try and stick his nose, and he gets very close as they slow it up for that 3rd corner, but doesn't get his nose to the inside.
I'll tell you right now, the fastest car of those 3s is not Lionel Callisto. Sean nailed it. Lionel is really, you can just see the way that he's fighting that car.
2 behind, trying to see what they can do, knowing that their leader is struggling. Reynolds has recovered now, and he closes up on the rear bumper of Lionel Callisto.
Boys, Thunhorst picking up another one here. Brian Grandin fighting him for this 4th spot.
This is not a strategy I would have expected, Sean, as they
No.
go side by side down towards turn 1. We kept talking about how hard it is to pass. We've seen how hard it is to pass. So for a car of his pace to start all the way from the back, it seems unusual.
He worked this well. The early pit stops. I mean, the early caution flags. Getting fresh tires. It's a masterful drive right now. If you ask me, if it ends right now, he's won as far as I'm concerned. 21 spots here at New Hampshire, unheard of.
Let's see if he can run down our leaders. Actually, I'm kind of curious what the lap times are comparably.
Right, you can't really get a good one on Thunderhurst right now because he's been racing on the inside line. As soon as he clears Grandin, I'll give you a comparison.
Up at the front as we watch our top 3, there's only 5 tenths between first, second, and third. Clement drops a little bit back this time across the line. We've got some more traffic coming up in the form of Thomas Lovelady. As they swing down the backstretch, they're catching him at a rapid pace. We've already seen how much damage Lovelady has and how desperately he's trying to just pick up spots and get positions on attrition. They're all safely by.
I'll go back to Thunhorst. He is starting to close in on Trevor Clement. He was, about 2 tenths better on that last lap?
Ooh, Reynolds sticks his nose in down into turn 3. He wants to have another go. He's let the tires cool out a little bit, but you can see that car get all kinds of sideways out of 4. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Here comes Thunhorst. Still closing in on Trevor. Now, Trevor was a little bit faster on that lap, but Thunhorst with a steady charge. He has cleared Brian Grandin. Back to work with nothing but speed going here with 20 laps to go when he comes across the stripe.
And Sean, you know what 20 laps to go means.
Baby, it's time to drop that disco ball down. Let's boogie here at New Hampshire. It's time to party.
And speaking of dances, Reynolds is doing some kind of shuffle as he's repeatedly getting the rear end of that car just hanging out and catching it in multiple corners. Somehow he's keeping the speed up. Oh, that was awful close on the exit of 2. It's not Kalisto's tires I'm worried about now. I think Reynolds is the one that has worn out the rubber underneath him.
The guy who's done the less work is the driver in third, Clement.
Wonder if Trevor could steal this race away for the Grizzly Motorsports guys. I believe Clement is Grizzly Motorsports. Let me double check that.
I don't believe so.
No, he's Alliance, buddy.
Excuse me.
Yep.
Pardon me. Thinking of Vrosky, different Trevor.
That's the other one. Yeah, that's
There you go.
That these top 3, they're cutting a pretty good hole in the air, and they're making it tough for Thunhorst to catch him. Thunhorst starting to drop a little bit here. Been digging hard for a long time, so
Yeah.
I'm not surprised to see a little fall off out of that machine. But man, if these 3 get in trouble up here, it's going to be a big victory for Matthew Thunhorst.
Certainly could be. Michael Thompson is next to be lapped by these 3. They're catching him quickly.
With that said, though, Sean, he was the fastest driver on that last lap.
Here comes Clement. Clement to the inside
Here
of
it is.
Reynolds. Sends it in very deep. They're going to be side by side, mid-corner. As they catch up with the traffic, this is going to get very sticky if they don't sort this out soon. And Clement isn't able to carry the speed off the corner. Thinks a little bit better of it with the car up high. Still keeps his nose down low. Man, oh goodness, the number 66 of Reynolds. The way he came off that corner, Sean. I'm not sure if it's just the angle I've got my camera at. It looks like he's getting very sideways.
Oh no, he's getting very sideways. All you have to do is watch the hands in the cockpit. I'm watching his hands right now. He is sawing logs there on the wheel.
What a run, though, from Clement. He just ran out of track before they get to the corner. Right now, Clement is Callisto's best friend as he has Reynolds occupied.
Certainly allowing Little Train to stretch out a bit of a gap. Now 4/10 between himself and Blake Reynolds. 15 laps to go now. If you're just joining us here on the Global Sim Racing channel, as once again Blake Reynolds gets loose, but we've switched to the number 14 of Beltrami in 10th, who's in a battle with Josh Wolf, one of our other championship contenders. Second place right now in the driver's points. If you're just joining us, this is the end of race 1 today. We're going to get a whole nother 100-lap race here at New Hampshire Motor Speedways in these Tour Modifieds. So definitely stick around after the checkered flag falls.
We can stay back there on that battle because right now I think the leaders are cooling off their tires to make one last run here.
Boy, we got a battle for 13th here. Hutchinson. Oh, Chris Penn's getting around. Can he hold it?
He's trying, but that low line has just not proved to be the way to go. You can see how much speed he lost off of turn 2. Hutchison, if he wants, could dive it down in front of him. And indeed, the number 41 has to stay single file.
Let's go to P2. I think he's got a run. Here comes Clement. He's going to dive it down in there. Can he make the 1-1-1 stick?
He's trying his hardest. He's got a little bit of some sort of semblance of grip on the low side until they come off the corner. And you can see the 66 get away. Clement, much better on entry.
I'll tell you what, things getting a little hot on track here. Back, Brian Grannon trying to hold off Herzog. Brandon Chappelle just behind. They're communicating on the radio with each other, and let's just say they both disagree on what type of driving line is being driven by the other.
Oh, he drifts up, almost gets into him. Brandon has to get off of it big time. Let's watch over the replay. Brandon expressing some severe displeasure over that move.
Oh.
I don't know, that was kind of just a slide job to me there, Sean.
Yeah, Herzog's going to have to be careful here. Chappelle really, really trying to get to him here.
Oh, in second place once again, heating up. This time, Clement's got him. All right, we're going to watch the replay of this pass. Let's see how this went. Looks like a big wobble from Blake coming out of 4. Offered the opportunity, and the 111 didn't need 2 times of asking. We talk so much about the mastery of Reynolds to get in any car. I wonder, Sean, if this is a case of him just not being as familiar with this machinery and knowing how valuable the tires are, because he's paying a severe price.
He really seems to be right now, Joe. Yeah, I think you got the nail, or hit the nail on the head there with that. I was going somewhere with that, I swear. Oh, and he's around. Wow.
Can he hold it? Can he hold it? Saves it 3 or 4 times, and somehow it's pointing forward.
Hashtag Dirt confirmed.
Let's watch. Can we turn the onboard camera towards his hands a little bit here? Look at this.
Yeah, you don't want him in that position. You don't want him in that position.
I think he was turning right more than he was turned left through there. We come back live, 5th place, side by side. This is the heated fight we heard before. Chappell down on the low side. He's losing control, trying to bring the car back together. He catches it, but loses his speed. That's going to give Brian Grannon a chance to come back at Herzog, who he apparently wants a little bit of a rematch with.
Yes, he does. He may get it. It'll be 7 laps to go. He's got a few more chances here. Don't be surprised to see Chappell get back into this as well.
Yeah, but these guys need to think outside of their own individual race right now. I know they're really intense, but let's finish this thing under green.
This is the longest green flag run we've had all race. Hopefully the oval style boys have at it doesn't take over for Grandin. As
Okay.
wow, he really gains on Bennett. Excuse me, Herzog.
Reynolds is struggling so much right now that I tell you what, Thunhorse has got an outside chance to catch him, compete for this podium.
That number 66, losing time, hand over fist to Clement. Trevor might be thinking, I waited a little bit too long here to try and get by, because now that he's in clear air, he's holding on Callisto, but he's out of laps to try and do something with it. This time by will be 4 to go for Callisto.
Little Train has had quite a race. He said that's that Tour Modified dialed in here. Controlled the restarts.
Even if he wins this race, this does not necessarily mean he will win the weekend, as I guess we could put it.
Good way to put it. Past the point of no return now. A yellow flag ends the race.
Switch back to this battle for 5th. Herzog leads Grandin, leads Chapel. Big bobble from
Grandin losing it.
Moving up to the high side,
man.
not the way that you want to go, Brandon. You wanted a way around him, but just chose the side that car was heading towards.
Joe, 2.5 laps to go. Thunhorse got it down to half a second.
Wow, did not expect this.
He's coming, and he's coming quick.
Oh, boy, and Blake is struggling.
Meanwhile, we're watching this fight on screen for 5th. Now for 6th, actually, rather, is once again Grandin just walking that car up the banking towards the wall each time out. Two laps to go as Lionel Callisto comes around.
And here goes
3 and
Thunhorse
4.
underneath. Sorry, Joe.
You're right. He's got it. Oh, and a little bit of a slide as Reynolds tries to hold on to it. He's
it's
going
so
straight and he's still trying to hold on to it.
I love it. I love it.
Oh, this has got to be disappointment for Reynolds. Callisto has a little bit of traffic to deal with, stays low to try and get by the car of Chad Barker. But it looks like it should be a non-issue as the number 16 doesn't have his traditional number 2 on the car, and maybe that's the difference today. As he comes around turn 4, Lionel Callisto is going to win race number 1 here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Clement takes second. Thunhorst up to the podium in the final stages.
Wow.
And poor Blake Reynolds rides the rim, knowing that this car is done.
You know what? If Thunhorst had 5 more laps, I think he'd have caught Trevor Clement too. Might have even got up one more step up the podium. Wow, what a run.
Indeed. So with that, I believe we're going to go through our finishing order here before we go to break. No, it sounds like we will take a little bit of a break before we go through the unofficial results. We'll come back after this with those unofficial results as well as driver interviews. Stick around. We have a whole nother 100-lap race here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Welcome back to New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We just watched the first race of the Lion Tamer Beard Care New England Twin 100s. It's round 13 of the Pacific Majors. In the end, Lionel Callisto took the win for that race, and he was followed home by Trevor Clement, who gave him a hard run for it, but Trevor maybe wasted a little bit too much time sitting in third. Matthew Thunhorst, how about that? 25th to third. The run of the race as far as Sean is concerned. Blake Reynolds used up his tires quite a bit early on, and he paid for it, slipping down to fourth in the end. Mark Herzog takes a fifth position, and then Brian Grandin comes home in sixth behind him. Brandon Chappell and Brian had quite a battle going on late in the race. Brandon finished in seventh with Brian Bennett, another driver that climbed quite a ways. He started 17th. He finishes in eighth. Trevor Vovrosky for Grizzly Motorsports comes home in ninth. And Bill, rounding out our top 10 is the Salami, Bob Beltrami.
Then we have a couple animals with a wolf and a partridge running 11th and 12th, and Joshua Wolf and Ray Partridge. Ray Hutchison in the Baker's Dozen spot. Chris Pence behind him. Rob Gall comes home in 15th. Last car on the lead lap. Then we get to the guys that finished at least one lap down. Chad Barker. Brian Barnes finishing 2 laps down. Travis Henderson, Sam Boren in 19th position, and running out there in 20th. Ooh, Richie Hearn, Sean.
Okay, 21st going to belong to Thomas Lovelady. Michael Thompson, 22nd. Brian McGreevy, 23rd. Claude Belval, 24th. And 25th, going to go to Clark Archer. He completes 43 laps tonight.
We have our podium waiting in the wings to talk to us about that race. We're going to start with our race winner, Lionel Callisto. Lionel, first of all, congratulations. Secondly, do you count this as a win for the season? Does that tick off that box for you?
Yeah, definitely. I'm super stoked. It was pretty tough, especially when Blake passed me on the restart. I thought I was done. But yeah, that was a pretty fun race.
Now, we noticed that you weren't running your traditional number 2. Are you superstitious at all? Does this change things for you on whether or not you'll continue to run that number 2 now that you've gotten a win?
No, I don't think so. Probably next race I'll just fix it. I think I just forgot to switch numbers before I enter the race. So I mean, I'll definitely go back to the number 2 next race.
All right. Well, the other thing that we were wondering about as we watched you race, and when Reynolds took that lead away, you fought very hard to take that back. Are you thinking at all about the championship when you fight that closely with Blake, knowing that you've got such a lead over him in the points?
Oh, definitely. On that restart, I made like a huge mistake when I was just shifting. I missed shift, and then that's when Blake got me on the outside. I know it's really hard to pass out here, especially from the inside, because it's just not much grip, and you don't get the momentum coming out of the corner. But yeah, the pass I made, the car just hooked up. It was great setup by the Alliance Racing, especially like the teammates making it. It was a great setup. It was getting loose later on in the race, but it ended up stabling out later on.
We've got one more race to go. Real quick before we let you go, do you think you can repeat and lock out the wins on this?
We'll see. Anything will go. So like it's really easy to lose it. So it's never a guarantee, even if you start in first place. So I'm gonna try my best to see if I can get a good finish or even a win.
All right. Well, once again, congratulations, and look forward to seeing you compete next race.
Thank you, guys.
That was Lionel Callisto, our winner here in race 1. Up next, we've got Bill talking to Trevor Clement, and hopefully to make amends for getting his name wrong a couple times in there.
I'm working on it, Trevor. Congratulations on the second place. Let's go right to the end of that race. You're sitting back there in third. You're watching Callisto and Reynolds go at it. I just felt like you were just kind of waiting until it was your time to make a move. Is that what was going on?
Yeah, I really was. I mean, I was, Blake is a heck of a wheel, and I think we had a little bit better set. So as I saw him getting loose a little bit, I figured if I get an opportunity late, if he tries to make a pass and I can get a run or however it goes. And finally, I went out and in, and he got loose at the right time, and it was done. I was pretty stoked.
Tell me about the tires. We saw you ran the fastest lap of the race, almost near the end, the last quarter of it. Do the tires come back when you get them hot? Can they cool down under yellow, or do you use them up? They don't come back. What's the story? Do you have to save them? Is there an issue?
After yellow, after they cool down, they come back. So even if you might be half a second off deep in a run, and then a caution comes out, and yeah, you'll have 2 laps where they feel fresh, and then they get hot and they're faded. So that's pretty much how it goes with those.
Is there much difference from them early on, though? I mean, are they tougher at the end of the race?
Yeah, I think we were all pretty loose in the end. They definitely start going away once you get 40 laps on them. Especially, I think our last green flag run was at least 50 laps, and we were all fighting it a little bit coming out of the corners. But
track position's so precious, you just can't afford to come in.
Everything, yeah, for sure.
Well, we'll watch you. Good luck. Go out there and get yourself. Listen, let me tell you. Go get yourself a good qualifying time so you can get some clear air in front of you. That'll help.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Bill.
All right, there you have it. Trevor Clement, our second place finisher today.
We also have the final step of the podium, Matthew Thunhorst, who appropriately is going to be talking to Sean, who considers him the driver of the race.
Yeah, well, I was kind of championing that effort there. Matt, wow, what a run. Tell us, was a pit stop part of the plan, or was this just by chance this all kind of worked out this way?
Plan there at the beginning was just to keep pitting, keep staying in the back, take 2 right side tires, so whenever the leaders came in, I could get up run through pit strategy, but I started to realize with all the caution laps they weren't going to be able to come in, so the setup I had underneath me, I drove it to the front, and good Lord, Trevor gave me a hot ride.
I guess so. That car was really, really hooked up. You were able to do what a lot of drivers weren't able to do, and that was attack from the lower groove on this track.
Yeah, generally there on the restarts, I was wanting to start on the bottom because I could make moves that other people couldn't. The only problem was it's like on the last one, I had Wayne in front of me, and I'm having to burp the throttle out of exit because I was going to run him over because the car just had so much grip on exit that I could just lean on the right rear and just mash it and keep up with the outside. It was insane, to be frank.
Yeah, and so you talk about leaning on that right rear. Did it ever start to go away from you, or because you had laps that basically had about 25 laps fresh, or you were able to keep digging there for that last 55 laps?
Yeah, those 2 right sides definitely helped me definitely catch Blake and just make passes on guys. I mean, I'm sure it helped. I mean, there were points where the car was getting a little too loose, so I had to come off a little bit straighter. But I mean, there at the end, when I saw him and I saw that interval shrink, and it was just, I went nuts, and the car held on. I was wiggling all over the place, and I caught him. And I mean, I had a blast out there.
Yeah, well, it certainly looked like you were having a blast. What about this next one here? Going to look for a better qualifying effort, or are you happy with the way, or you happy with where you started in that first qualifying session?
I didn't qualify in that first one because there was a setup I had been driving, and Trevor had changed what they were driving, so I was like, hey, can I get that? They sent it, and I felt it'd be really stupid to go in there with the setup I had no laps on, despite it might be similar. And with this one, I'll probably qualify and probably try to get a top 5, top 10 qualifying run, and hopefully get up there and compete again for a top 3, maybe win this, but that'll be hard to do against Lionel and Trevor.
All right, buddy. Well, then hopefully that means we'll be talking to you again. Congratulations on a podium finish there in the closing laps, and we'll see you here in a few.
Yeah, thank you.
That was Matthew Thunhorst, 3rd place finisher. We also have Blake Reynolds in 4th, ready to talk to us and talk about how that race went. And Blake, my first question for you is, did you regret using the tires as much as you did come those last 15 laps?
Yeah. I had originally planned to come in to get a set of tires in the middle of the race, or at least a set of right sides, but we were having so many cautions, I thought the tires would be fine, and then I ended up pushing really hard in those short runs there with all those cautions to try to pass Lionel, and I think that's what really lost it for me. But they definitely worked on that longer run and in those conditions. So I think we'll be better in the late afternoon setting, but yeah, that car was stupid loose.
We noticed. If you go back and watch the broadcast, you might see a few of your moments out there. But do you take anything out of this race that kind of teaches you how to do things differently in the next race, or is it going to be the same method for you?
I figured it'd be easier to pass just because of the track conditions, but obviously not. The track got really slick there at the end, and it made going side by side really difficult, especially with the car that I had. This lighting, I think when the rubber gets on it, it won't affect the car that much just because of the cooler nature of the track. So I'll probably try to be more aggressive at the start and just try to pass people.
All right. Well, with a 4th place finish and the points being awarded based on your average, realistically, do you think you can come away with the win today after race 2?
Well, judging on that speed in those Alliance cars, I probably not. So really looking forward to at least finishing second. Obviously, the gap to Lionel is going to be a lot larger going into the final race just because he's already had 2 or 3 spots ahead of me in that first race. So I'll try and minimize the damage here if he wins again.
All right. Well, we look forward to watching you give another go at these 100-lap races. Best of luck.
All right. Thank you.
That's Blake Reynolds, 4th place finisher here in race 1. We're going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Come back right away, though, because we're going to have the second 100-lap race around New Hampshire Motor Speedway here in round 13 of the Pacific Majors. Welcome back to New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We're getting ready to watch race 2 of the Lion Tamer Beard Care New England Twin 100s. And we're actually getting ready to watch the qualifying, to be more specific, just in about a minute's time. If you missed the last race, Lionel Callisto came away with the win. That's significant because he's leading the points, and he's trying to stretch away from both Josh Wolf and Blake Reynolds, which he was not able to do necessarily with that last race, because they're going to score the points based on an average of your finishing positions here of these 2 races. And he's got his number 2 back, interestingly.
That's better.
Few drivers have got their traditional ones back.
Kept the 2 away after getting the win,
Yeah, I figured most drivers are a little bit superstitious, and he would have thought, I'll switch around. But I guess it means too much for him. I can understand that. I could never change my number unless I had to. Richie Hearn also has his traditional 70 back, so that'll be nice. A little bit easier to identify people.
Joshua Wolf now in the 65. He was in the 4 of the last race, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
And I think the 65 is his usual number.
And Brian Barnes is in the 4 now, so.
Bill making quips in the background.
I was just saying that usually old girlfriends are always changing their numbers for me, but that's, I don't know. I didn't want to say it. I typed it. They made me say it. I'm trying to behave here.
All right. Qualifying has started.
If you're listening.
All right. Everybody's getting ready on their warm-up laps. This should go by quickly. Little bit different weather conditions. You can see that the lighting is different. The track is much cooler. We had 100 plus last time, Sean. 81 degrees. Is that going to mean tires go off less?
I think it may not be quite as scary at the end. Now, it may be an excuse to try and drive the car a little bit harder. So there's both sides of the pendulum there on that, Joe. I think you could look at it either way.
We ride on board with Travis Henderson,
I thought that
motorsports driver.
That first race was pretty darn entertaining. I thought it was a nice mix between being hard to pass but not impossible to pass. Sean, we saw passing, but the guys really had to work for it. I thought it was pretty good.
I did too. I loved getting that run there in the second half of the race. It's great to watch these guys actually struggle a bit. Now, this car, not easy to drive, but it's a little bit easier to drive when you got fresh tires and you're starting and stopping every 8 to 10 laps. Boy, it gets increasingly difficult the longer you stretch a run out, and we saw there in the closing laps what just a beast that car was to handle getting off these exits.
So we see the times start ticking in. Blake Reynolds currently leads it. In fact, he's ahead of Lionel Callisto, who's only qualified in 3rd. So Blake putting his stamp on things very quickly, and he's been toppled by Trevor Clement.
Look at that.
All right, so Clement may be thinking, I can get that win that I wanted last race. He finished 2nd last time. That could give him a very good chance at taking the overall win for the weekend.
Blake Reynolds coming around his 2nd lap here now. He's in 2nd. Can he climb the pole? Oh, and he wraps it coming out of 4. That's not going to get him a good lap.
I think that was his warm-up, though. He's going to come out for another one. More and more times they're getting added to the board. Thunhorst gets himself on there. What is he going to do now that he's not having to climb from the back of the field?
Yeah, he said I can finish 3rd if I start from 25th. Imagine what happens if I can start up front.
Callisto just took the pole off of Clement by 4 1/1000ths of a second. Reynolds is now starting his next lap.
Drivers who finished 1, 2, 3, 4 in the first heat, sitting up there 1, 2, 3, 4.
In just a slightly different order, Reynolds and Thunhorst currently reversed, and Reynolds is going to try and change that. Thunhorst has only put 1 lap in, and he's not back out on track. He's waiting to see what happens with the other cars.
Beltrami gets up the board a little bit better, up to 7th. That was his 3rd lap.
Reynolds crosses the line. We're watching him on screen, and he does not improve his time, though. And he's going to give up on this next lap. Going to come into the pits, maybe try one more time.
Lovely, a driver we didn't see much from. He had trouble early in that first heat. Now falls down to 6th as Partridge jumps him.
Yeah, Partridge getting up to the top 5. Brandon Chappell there we see, currently running 17th at best. I see Clement is back out, and Clement moves to the pole.
Look at that.
Things get ever more interesting. Callisto has finished his 4 laps, so he cannot have an answer. Reynolds has 1 lap left to go, but he is currently off the track, so I don't think he means to try and take another.
Gall coming around here for his last lap, Joe. What's he gonna do?
It's an 8th. See if he improves.
No,
and he does
not
not. Lovelady also comes by for his final lap, and he also does not move himself up the board. He's going to start no better than 6th. Only drivers left out on a track are McGreevy, Belval, and Archer. And Belval has finished his 4 laps, so is McGreevy. Archer just completing his first one, I believe.
That's
He
right,
does.
Joe, and he moves up the board into 15th.
So far, only 2 drivers have not put a lap in. That is Vovroski and Pence, and both of them have taken to the track now. Meanwhile, Vovroski sort of has.
What is he doing?
Oh, that's an interesting way to get a good qualifying time.
All right,
there.
now don't take this wrong. I don't mean anything by this, but Vovroski, there is the Polish lap, and I wonder if
Polish
Vovroski is a
victory lap?
Polish. Yeah,
I don't think that's how you're supposed to do a Polish
Yeah,
victory
no,
lap.
no.
that's kind of a Polish
That's-
victory lap played in reverse. It's pointed the right way. It's just going the wrong direction.
Pence is actually trying to put a lap in here, and I think he's on his first time lap right now. Archer is continuing around, still sitting in 15th. I'll tell you if he moves himself up the order. Looks like, unless Vovroski turns himself around, we should have a repeat of last time where only 1 driver does not put a time in. As Pence comes across, he decides to slow it down. So Pence doesn't want to put a time in either.
By the way, Vovroski definitely scored with a time there, Joe.
Oh my goodness.
A 1 minute 11 second .6.
How fast is he going? He's doing 60 miles an hour backwards. Not too shabby for the number 30 car. Meanwhile, it looks like Archer has had enough of his qualifying, so he pulls off and settles for 15th. So with that, our order looks to be settled, unless Vovroski somehow manages to go much faster backwards. So let's go through our grid.
Oh, I don't know. He's getting
Trevor-
quite a run there out of 4.
Looks kind of loose to me.
He improved as a 54 this time.
I told you.
Oh my goodness. He's actually up to 80 miles an hour right now.
You know, they shouldn't give Mike Willett any more thoughts about crazy races. He's probably taking notes right now.
This may be an off-season idea, I'm
Yeah.
assuming?
Yeah, special winter series probably.
Oh my goodness. Oh, Pence is going to give it another go. I think maybe he doesn't want to start behind Vovroski. All right, we're going to wait for this to settle itself out. Bill, I do believe that you have some points that we can go over while we wait to see if these goofballs actually put a time down.
Yeah, let's talk about my favorite one, and that is the Governor's Cup. I've been told that I don't need to cover this anymore, but nonsense. First of all, I have to cover because look at that total up there. That is not the Dow Jones average there. That is 10,488 points. That's what the Northwest has got. The West, TAC 466. You can read along there with me. How about the Texas and California's topping positions? But what I wanted to do is set an all-time record here for a GSRC commentator to say that the Great Plains is still in the hunt. They are only 6,538 points, 35 points out of the lead. There you go. Let's go ahead and look at another one, though. That's kind of fun if our director has it. Do we have club leaders up there? Because this is kind of cool. Northwest, how about Joshua Wolf? No surprise there. Blake Reynolds leading Texas. But here's what's kind of interesting. You see him highlighted in yellow. Michael Thompson takes over the points lead in the West from Richie Hearn. Lionel Callisto, of course, leading in my state, California. Claude Baval, I believe, the only Canadian driver racing. And then, of course, we talked about Matthew Thunhurst as he had that great race coming up there. Just had it leading for the Great Plains. Okay, there you have it.
All right, I think the laps are well and truly over. Chris Pence has come back out on track, but I don't believe he has enough time to get a qualifying lap in. Vovrosky, backwards, mind you, on all of his laps, managed to get it down to a 43.1. So there's that for Trevor.
That's pretty fast.
Yeah, let's go through the actual grid, though. Trevor Clement takes the pole off of Lionel Callisto. Wonder if Trevor is trying to throw the gauntlet down and take himself the second win. Again, not sure what they're going to do about the tiebreaker if they finish in that order. Blake Reynolds is going to be in third on this restart. Matthew Thunhorst will start on the outside of row 2 and fourth, with Ray Partridge starting in fifth. Thomas Lovelady will be in the 6th position when the green drops. Bob Beltrami will be 7th, and then P8 is Rob Gall. Starting in 9th, it's Wayne Hutchison, and then rounding out the top 10, it's Chad Barker.
In 11th through 15th, it is Brian Bennett, Richie Hearn, Michael Thompson in the unlucky 13th position, Brandon Chappelle, and Clark Archer in 15th. All ribbons and curls in the Sweet 16 position is Travis Henderson. Brian Grandin, we saw him racing up front in the first heat back in 17th. Sam Bourne, Joshua Wolf in 19th, and rounding out the 20, Mom and Dad are watching at home, it is Brian McGreevy.
Boy, and another driver we saw racing up front, Mark Herzog, going to have to start 24th in this one. Brian Barnes, 22nd. Claude Belleville going to start 23rd here. Trevor Vovrosky, 24th by nature of his time in reverse. 25th going to go to Chris Pence, the Texas driver. Rounds out this 25-car field. Boys, it's almost time to go racing here at the Magic Mile.
And we didn't get it in on the first one, but I want to ask, because now that we've seen a race, we got a pretty good idea. Bill, who's your pick for this one?
Wire to wire, Trevor Clement.
Oh, interesting. Sean?
Give me Matthew Thunhorst, man.
Yeah, I can't count out Matthew with the pace that he had, but granted, he had fresher tires, so he can't necessarily employ that strategy. In fact, I'm curious to see if anybody, based on what we saw before, if we have a lot of green flag racing, if anybody will actually decide to try and come in and see what fresh tires can do for them towards the end, or at least around halfway through this race as we wait for the Mustang pace car to lead us around on the pace lap. There you can see 25 cars all lined up, double file, ready to go for race number 2 here in the Lion Tamer Beard Care New England Twin 100's.
Getting better at that, Joe.
Been working on it.
You know, if we're going to see that pit stop strategy, I think it might happen by accident. I think if we look at one of these top guys like Callisto or Reynolds or Thunhurst, if they were to run into trouble, have to come in and get a fast repair, and then work their way through, that may be something to keep an eye on.
You know, guys, I think I figured out my Halloween costume for this year just now.
Uh-oh.
I'm going as a lion tamer, guys. That just sounds too cool, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm glad you didn't say a moose.
Yeah, no, Milo. Milo's got that gig locked up. I'm gonna pass on that.
No
one,
threat
okay?
there. Okay.
No.
All right.
Sean is not a fan of Milo.
It's just okay. The track has a mascot. His name is Milo the Moose, and it's I don't know. It's a toss-up between him and Sparky at Texas Motor Speedway as to which ones are the. I don't. Just not a fan of mascots for racetracks. I don't know what. It is.
You mean like the ear of corn at Iowa?
Oh, that's pretty good.
Always one of my favorites.
His sidekick Butter.
Yeah. All right, well, we're halfway around this pace lap. This time it's not going to be Lionel Callisto who leads the way at the drop of the green. The number 111, Trevor Clement. He won at the dirt race here in the Pacific Majors halfway through this season. Can he show to be a short oval master? Does not get a good launch off the line. And in fact, the number 2 has to back off of it just a little bit to make sure he doesn't get a black flag. Does so successfully. Does that going to put him under threat from Blake Reynolds? Looks down to the inside, down into turn 1. He's going to go side by side for this second place. Down the backstretch, losing the momentum. Blake Reynolds comes back at him, going deep into the corner. A lot of side-by-side racing through much of the pass. Lionel Kalisto stays in it, not willing to back out. A lot of racing left to go, but he's still going on the offensive.
Thunderhorse.
And he trips. Our leaders come together. Clement spins. And he gets hit. Multiple cars trying to avoid him. Reynolds managed to stay out of contact.
Brian Bennett had nowhere to go as he got into Clement.
Well, and this is a boon to our leader now. Kalisto inheriting that.
Boy, you're right about Bennett having nowhere to go there, Sue.
Partridge also clipped the number 111. We're going to watch onboard Bennett, who is farther back in the field. Looking over that front left suspension. Sees the smoke start to blow. Oh, yeah, just a car blocking his view.
Yeah, and he was already picking up spots, too. Bennett had gotten off to a great start there. Wrong place, wrong time, though.
Comes in to take some repairs. And Clement as well has to come in. Unfortunately, so early, I don't think fresh tires are going to make much of a difference here. In fact, he's going to go a lap down. Oof. So, remember, the points are awarded based on average finish between the two races. Clement was the major threat to Kalisto to be able to take those lead points away, but now he's not there. Reynolds comes in for repairs too. Thunhorst is still up in this. He could take the lead away from Kalisto though, but even if Thunhorst wins, if Kalisto finishes in second, Kalisto will still take the weekend win. The plot thickens, Bill.
Plenty of time. Plenty of time. But I think what you're going to see is a different strategy from those guys in the back now. I think Clement, well, first of all, they got to get their laps back, Clement and Reynolds, but I would look for them to start pitting every time, like Thunhorst did, and then make the charge at the end.
Yeah, it sounds like the viable strategy to me. At least they had Thunhorst to be the guinea pig on that, to try and figure that out, Sean.
Yeah. Joe, that caution way too early in this race, to be honest with you. I'm a little disappointed there. That's a shame that broke loose this early.
It certainly shakes things up a little bit, though. Two of our major players taking themselves out, forcing them to really climb their way back up, could make for an interesting race. Not necessarily so for Kalisto, if he can hold off Thunhorst. That's the big question mark. The number 5 showed quite a bit of pace. What can he do with tires equal to Kalisto is the question.
Oh, and it looks like Rob Gall had some trouble there, Joe, and he's disconnected from the race. I think he's reconnected, but no, he hasn't checked back in yet.
Watching to see if we get information in the chat on if his throughput fell to an undesirable level, and I'm not seeing it quite yet. I'm guessing everybody around him probably giving him a wide berth. We're going too wide now.
Just quickly to talk about the success of this series, this is the Pro Split. There is an AM Split that's going on right now.
And they're being broadcast by the Trackside Racing Network if you want to watch them at all. So definitely want to give a little bit of a shout to our neighbors over there.
After you're done watching this one, of course.
Naturally.
Must be going well for our compadre, GSRC compadre, Adam Young. He said he'd check in with us, so you ran into trouble early. Since we haven't heard from him, that's good news.
That is good news, indeed.
All right. Mustang pace car comes out of 4. Our first restart of race 2, and the number 2 leads them away. Must have been communicating with his teammate there, because both of them got a huge jump on the rest of the field. Lovelady coming up in 3rd. Remember, he had a bad first race. He probably wants to prove something. not in the race for points here. So at this point, he could be a threat, knowing that he could just challenge and take some risks.
You know, another driver had some bad luck in that first race is Richie Hearn. Finds himself here in 6th, fighting for this position. Beltrami just in front of him there.
Beltrami making use of that good qualifying this time around, the number 14, threatening the car that he was fighting with last race. Wayne Hutchison, the number 17. Most everybody lying astern. Very tame start to this restart here.
Boy, Clark Archer struggling just a bit here in the back of the field. He's losing spots, a lot of them here. That's the 57. Mark Herzog getting under him, getting by. Now here comes the 111. Trevor Clement trying to get one of these laps back.
Yeah, that's really, Clement doesn't really need to race right now. He's racing one guy only, and that's Claude Baval. That's just to be on the lead one lap down.
And the 111 needs to worry about the cars in front of him because Wolf and Herzog are really getting a little sketchy there. They're not scared away Clement. He's getting up in it.
Yeah, he is. He's pressing the issue, isn't he, Joe?
So he's going to continue to pick off cars, trying to take his lap back the hard way. And, you know, to be fair, I can kind of understand, Sean, if we don't get a caution for a long time, he's got to fight to try and you know, maybe take this back by speed, by pace.
No, Joe. No, I love you, Joe, but no. It's pointless what he's doing right now. Uh-oh.
Oh, boy.
Caution in 3. The 111 makes his way through, but it looks like Herzog is not, as he gets trapped by the car of Lovelady. Oh, so that would have been close up front. And in fact, that was with Wayne Hutchison. Just came down on that number 17.
Yeah, Hutchison, you're going to see, gets a run at him.
And Michael Thompson got involved with that. He was, I believe, a teammate of Lovelady.
Yep,
yeah,
those are both the Elite West teams.
Boy, but you see the contact there, Hutchison, Lovelady. And the trouble is up top there.
Let's watch on board Hearn, who threads the needle.
Look at this. This is unusual for Richie Hearn to avoid any bad luck. He's got... Bad luck has Richie Hearn on speed dial. I mean, it can find him really quick. And, man, he's able to get through there.
Maybe wore it all out in the first race. Now, what's interesting about this here, Bill, is that both of our first cautions came up at the front. We didn't really have that last time.
Nope.
It was kind of more mid-pack, but apparently the front driver is looking a little bit more aggressive. Now, we also hear that Trevor Clement unexpectedly got the lucky dog.
Now he's back
on the lead lap.
All right, now he can start to race.
Make inroads.
Right, that's what our director just mentioned, and Blake Reynolds has already worked his way up to 9th position.
That ride-in shotgun machine certainly can scythe its way through traffic. Can be a little bit harder now with the top spots, I'm sure. Drivers may have worn out their patience on that first race because I'm seeing a little bit of testy chat there in the text.
Yeah, it's a little hot under the collar a little soon. We still have a lot of racing left to go here.
Yeah, but Sean, how many of these have we done where we see this yellow, 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 and then everybody settles down and we have, just like we had in the first heat, then the long green flag run after that?
Yeah, things always seem to kind of sort themselves out, don't they, Soup?
The herd thins itself, as we like to say. So, although we had very few retirements from the last race, so to their credit, it wasn't necessarily drivers dropping out, but just collecting themselves.
You know, I'm not going to spoil anything and give away. I watched some of the NASCAR race today. Actually, I turned in for the best part, just the last 20 laps. It took about 4 hours to finish, but I can't help but think about NASCAR basically getting rid of the fast repair with their new rule, where you have to get it fixed within a certain amount of time, or you can't come out there. And sure enough, they had just a handful of cars finishing that race today.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that one, Bill. The fast repair is makes it interesting. I mean, the lack of a fast repair makes it interesting. All right, we're double file again. Go ahead, Sean.
It puts a premium on the old adage, you got to take care of your equipment, and you can't forget that. I mean, it's important. That car, listen, there's nothing faster about a race car when it's clean, okay? It doesn't run fast when it's all dinged up.
Real quickly, in defense of the fast repair, though, here at the Pack Majors, they make these guys qualify for practice for a lot of time to even race. So they figure if we're going to make you put in the practice, we're going to try to let you have a little race fun as well. Okay, Joe.
Yeah, this is true, and they've made good use of those free repairs. So as the pace car peels off, once again, our Alliance teammates take away. And look at that, the battle for third. Beltrami down on the inside of Richie Hearn, looking to see if he can get himself on the podium. They squeeze together mid-corner and accordion back apart.
Oh boy, Trevor Borowski struggling, wrecking. Caution is now out.
It got into the 41. And then the 124 of Travis Henderson, a couple Grizzly drivers in there.
Poor Chris Pence was trying to avoid him. You're going to see here on the exit of 4. Took to the wrong side. And then Travis Henderson as well.
Boy, and Claude Belval got caught up in that, and he got slammed all the way down to the tire barrier, hung up on that, up on top of the tire barrier in a position where he's going to have to tow.
Yeah, just a little bit of a clip. You'll see as he was trying to avoid it. Nearly got away with it. There he goes, shooting into those tires. And Belval very much expressed his displeasure knowing that he can't drive that car back to the pits.
He's Canadian. How much displeasure could he really have had?
And those tires over there, remnants left over from what is the road circuit here at New Hampshire, Joe. And that section of the wall on the outside opens up to open that road circuit. Those tires are used for to block the track for the turn-in to the road circuit, which sits outside the backstretch.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they don't disappear on the oval version here on iRacing, but interesting little tidbit. Sometimes these ovals have stuff that you do need to avoid at certain points that can end your race a lot quicker. Now we're hearing that Bennett got the lucky dog, but it should have been Belval. But Belval was actually involved in the incident, so so that's why. Well, I thought the 111. Oh no, Bennett. I was thinking different driver. I was thinking of Clement. So yeah, Bennett was multiple laps down. Now he's going to be, looks like 2 laps down this time. Down to 1 lap down.
Hey, and a quick revisit on Rob Gall. He did, in fact, unfortunately disconnect. Throughput fell to an unacceptable level and has not been able to connect back to the race. So I'm afraid that car going to remain behind the wall at this point.
Things looking eerily familiar here in the second race. A little bit of deja vu from how the first race started, with a few cautions coming out, slowing the cars down. Drivers a little bit different, though, up at the front than the last race. Kalisto leads the way. Thunhorse still in second. Richie Hearn did manage to pry third away from Bob Beltrami. And Chad Barker, this is a great run for Chad, has himself in the top 5.
Sean, you were talking about those tires that are kind of in an unusual spot. We had an interesting race that Joe was directing, I was commentating on today from the Nordschleife, where one of the drivers actually hit a gas pump that happened to be at the end of pit lane.
Yeah, you don't want to run into those. That's generally not going to end well, is it?
I didn't know it was there. He didn't know it was there, obviously. And,
we should clarify, I didn't hit the gas pump itself. There's a curb going around it in the industry farting layout, their pits. And, well, we learned that you can hit that curb, and, well, the Skippy does not have a high enough ride height, apparently, to not sustain damage when you go over that curb. It was an eye-opener for me, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, we're double wide once again. We're going to go back green flag racing 20 laps in. Sean, with 20 to go, it's time to boogie. What's 20 laps in? What's that time?
That means it's time to tug on those belts and make sure that steering wheel is attached. And
looking for the car
go.
keys, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. As we watch them come around turns 3 and 4 for our third restart of the day. Let's get a clean green flag run here, boys. The Mustang pace car peels into the pit lane. Callisto wastes no time this time. Accelerates away. The number 5 has to worry about Richie Hearn now, who tries to stick his nose in. Down into turn 1. Runs it in deep. Can he get it off the corner, though, and split the Alliance drivers? The Elite West driver doing everything he can to help his team in the points. They're in second currently, right now in the Constructors' Championship.
Boy, Hearn really dropped the hammer, didn't he?
He wants it, you can tell. Number of drivers still fighting side by side behind them. Beltrami was under threat from Baker, but no more as they get single file. Same thing with the number 70 as Richie finally slots into third.
Reynolds up to 7th as he just does a slide job on Chappelle.
Next up for Reynolds is going to be Brian Grandin. And we've seen this before from Reynolds, having to use up his tires a little bit early in the race to run that low line. Wonder if this will once again bite him later on.
And if we could go to 21st position real quick. I'm not sure what's going on here. Somebody playing possum. Trevor Clement way off the pace back here. I almost wonder if he's just not ready to make his move yet.
Wonder if he didn't take his free repair.
No, I think you're right, Joe. You and I thought about the same time. Probably didn't take that fast repair, saving it for later.
Guys, this may not end well. Josh Wolf, Mark Herzog have been side by side here now for about 3 laps. And Wolf trying to hang on from the top side in number 65.
Herzog down low. Wolf carrying the speed into the corner a little bit better on that high side. Coming off, though. A bit of reverse of what we're used to. Almost seeing 3 wide as inside of Josh Wolf now. Sam Boren of Riding Shotgun tries to stick his nose in and take it away for that 10th spot.
Yeah, Josh Wolf not looking too comfortable up top there. Now he's got a battle there with a good battle going with Boren now.
And unfortunately for Josh Wolf, Boren being on Riding Shotgun, they have set their cars up for the long run. So as things go on, Sam is going to get stronger and stronger on Josh.
Yeah, and Josh really driving it hard because, I mean, he's loose. Not very loose, but just loose enough. And, I mean, you can see what Herzog's done. Herzog's been able to drive away.
Farther up in 5th place, Blake Reynolds, not just looking at 5th place, but also 4th potentially as he gets his nose under Bob Beltrami as well. Coming off the corner, something about that Riding Shotgun setup. Just loves that low line for Blake Reynolds as he takes car after car.
Yeah, he got around Barker and then just stayed right under there and got the 14 of Beltrami, and now he's up to 4th.
Well, that didn't take
Richie
long
Hearn's
at all. Oh, look at Barker. He wants a piece of this now that he sees an inside line open, and he's going to be able to get it over Beltrami.
Boy, Beltrami really struggling there. As they get around him, he's got to be careful. Brian Grandin, now the next one, getting a run at him here.
Looks like that might be where the bleeding stops. We're a quarter of the way into race 2 here of the Lion Tamer Beard Care New England Twin 100's. And Beltrami actually might be under threat as Grandin looks a little bit to the low side, but can't keep the speed off the corner. Callisto, though, right now has stretched himself out to about 4/10 over Thunhorst. And they've got another half second back to our 3rd place driver, Richie Hearn. Separating themselves slowly yet surely from the Club West driver. Probably more worried now about Blake Reynolds closing up behind him.
Grandin, the next car to pass Bob Beltrami. Grandin up to 6th. He up 11 spots here early on.
Is this actual trouble for Beltrami, or is this strategic? Is he maybe just letting cars go? Finding his pace, finding his rhythm, and thinking about the tires here early in this race.
Let's go to 11th real quick. These guys have been side by side for 2 laps now, going on 3. It's Wolf on the top side, Bourne in the 555 car underneath, and now here comes to make it 3 wide. Ray Partridge going to fly in there.
Backs out of it. By the way, I see what you did there, Bill, flying in there for the Partridge. Josh Wolf liking that high side for now. Bourne still holding on to the low line. The 555 wants to get it away from him. This time sliding up high just a little bit. Josh Wolf tries to carry the speed on a lane higher than him, but it's not going to work, and Bourne's finally going to take away 10th.
Brian Barnes out there in the blue number 4.
Wants to have a little bit of better race. Oh, behind them, things get awful close between Lovelady and Hutchison. They almost touched out of the corner.
Oh, and by the way, Blake Reynolds has got Richie Hearn, so Reynolds up to 3rd.
Onto the podium now. And in fact, that's, let's see, he wrecked out of, was it 2nd or 3rd? I'm trying to remember. I think it was 2nd.
Yep.
Boy, Josh Wolf gets past again. Ray Partridge does it this time. Joshua, even though he's up 7 spots, he's just not safe here. Brian Barnes now working on him.
And of course, Josh Wolf, I believe, is a teammate with Dawson Brock, if I'm not mistaken, who covers the Bootleg series. Do you think maybe he's gotten a few tips from him?
I hope so. It's not working out, though, right now. Unfortunately, Joshua is, like I said, continuing to fall through the field here. Yeah, he's picked up spots, but he does seem to be struggling at the moment. Partridge able to pull away.
Checking back on our 2nd place finisher from last race, the 111, Trevor Clement, still sitting in 21st, not looking to make any inroads.
Playing possum.
Just biding his time. We're now on lap 33. They're ticking off very quickly here in this 100-lap race. Interestingly, about Kalisto and Thunhorse is they have about a 2nd over Reynolds.
And I think those guys have decided that they are not going to play around with each other. They're just going to run a good line, try to save as much rubber as they can. Make Reynolds burn up what he's got.
A little bit of a fight between 7th and 8th, Beltrami and Chappell. Chappell looks to the inside. Can't carry the speed mid-corner. Can he get it off of it, though? Yes, he does. Even though he's on the low line, it is coming his way. So the number 14 now slides down to 8th instead.
Sean, looking at this from purely this as a fan, I would say that the weather has opened up that bottom line. The bottom line seems to be a little more friendly than it was in our first heat.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And you know, initially when we were talking about it in the pre-race, I didn't think it would be as much of a factor. But you're right, Soup. It does seem that because of the weather, a little bit, it's a little cooler out there. That they are finding a little bit more grip down there low. Man, I keep going back to Joshua Wolf. He keeps falling, but let me tell you this: nobody is getting by him easy. He's fighting with every car that's come up next to him. He's trying to stay dedicated up to that higher line on the track, but he's still dropping spots down to 14th now.
That's Wayne Hutchison, the number 17, trying to get inside of him. And he's going to have it easily through 1 and 2.
Boy, there's some good racing going out there.
Yeah.
7th position. Yeah, you looking at that, Sean?
Yeah, Chappell and Beltrami right now. That Beltrami finally getting the better of it. Chappell starting to slide a little bit up there.
That was Herzog on the inside of him, with Boren nearly making it 3 wide down on the low side. Boren lifted out of that one, seeing what was going on very quickly. Herzog isn't done with Chappell, though, as he runs that low line. Manages to get up ahead of him if he wants to slide up. Whoa!
I don't think you were clear, Mark.
And Chappell gets right up on him, gives him a bump. That was more than a hello, I think.
That was, hey, remember me?
That was, I did not appreciate that move, probably. Meanwhile, Herzog down to the inside of Beltrami, who stacks them up behind them. Both Chappell and Boren had to check up. Boren looking to the low side, trying to get on the inside of Chappell down into 3 and 4. They're going to go 2 by 2.
You know, it's easy to send it into the turns. Keeping it under control, that's a whole nother story. Oh boy, Chappell really, really pressing. And then he gives up that time there that he picks up.
This is quite a fierce fight for what is essentially 7th place out of these 5 cars. Chappell still holding the high side over Sam Boren, who gives another go at that low line, but can't keep the speed up. Behind him, Boren has Partridge licking his chops.
Honestly, with all the cars on the track, this is the best battle.
Now, things separating mostly up at the front. Thunhorst is staying within 3/10 of our leader, but those teammates don't look to be interested in fighting this early on.
We can stay on that. Yeah, Reynolds not able to make up any time. That interval right seeing it above 1 second from Reynolds up to Thunhorst. And honestly, Richie Hearn doing a pretty good job of sticking with them as well.
Yeah, you know, Brian Grandin up here in 6th, he's going to have to be careful. Grandin, not quite as quick as the cars that are chasing him here, I think.
He doesn't know what's coming here. He doesn't want any part of this thing.
He really doesn't.
Beltrami's still under threat from Herzog behind Grandin. Herzog does get a run on the low side. Can't do anything with it off the corner, though. Here comes Chappell back into the mix once again. These 5 do not know when to quit. How long can this dicing go on?
Sean, what's amazing, they're running down Grandin, and they're racing 2 wide.
Almost 3 wide for a second.
Here.
Chappell thinks better of it, but he's going to hold that low line, seeing if he can follow Herzog through. Herzog, he can slide up if he wants. He's clear. He's got the line. The number 14 gets bumped back. Now Chappell taking a look to the inside. A little bit of a bump draft from Sam Boren there behind the two of them. Ooh, Boren. Oh, did Boren get a piece of the wall on the exit? It was awful
really,
close.
really close, yeah.
Chappell's going to be able to get the 14. The Salami now slotted down to 9th. Ooh, he gets a big wiggle coming off of 4.
They're slicing them up just a bit, Joe.
Certainly is. And to the inside, here comes Partridge. He's going to allow Sam Boren to slide through, and in one neat package, Beltrami falls down to 11th.
And just a note about Partridge, have you seen him blink a couple times, Joe?
I have as well. I think he's having a little bit of a connection problem. I think it's solidified now.
Yeah, I think so, but certainly not a good time to have that when you're racing in close quarters like that.
Haven't seen anything change up at the front. Still 3/10 between Kalisto and Thunhorst. Now 1.3 between Thunhorst and Reynolds.
And if you're Trevor Clement, you're saying, okay, yellow flag anytime now, and there it is.
Yeah, Joshua Wolf, he just couldn't hang on to it. Josh been fighting that car for some time, Soup. He just gets loose by himself coming out of turn 2. You'll see here on the replay.
Let's see, we got restarted. Do you have that in your notes, Bill? I believe it was around 19 or 20.
Yeah, we 35 laps is the stint here that we went last time, so that's 12, I think. Well, that's when they came in for the pit stop.
Yeah, so That gives us an idea of when the cars really are going to start to lose it if we get long green flag runs like that for the rest of the race. Bennett is going to be our lucky dog, and with that, we are going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the latter half of round 2, race number 2, I should say, and the Lion Tamer Beard Care New England Twin 100s. Wait. No, we're going to stick around. A lot of pitters. We did not expect this.
Did not expect this at all.
Well, Sean, I think a lot of people are thinking tires are more important than track position today. We've got a couple people staying out, Archer and Herzog.
Well, I think all it took was for the leaders to decide they were going to do it, and everybody's like, yeah, you know what, we better do this too. We got a few cars staying out, but not many.
Ooh, it was awful tight between Kalisto and Thunhorst off the line. And Kalisto got him, though.
Yeah, and one of the drivers that stays out is Mark Herzog. He may live to regret this here.
Yeah, I think I can agree with that one. He's got half the race to go. With that, now we are going to go to break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the second half of race 2 here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Welcome back to New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We are now at exactly halfway of race 2 here in the Lion Tamer Beard Care New England Twin 100s. And your new leader after unexpected pit stops is going to be Mark Herzog. Clark Archer, the only other driver to elect not to take a stop here up at the front, is going to start second. Kalisto, who took 4 tires, is going to be starting in third. Thunhorst as well took 4. A few drivers behind them taking 2. Going to make things interesting up here. So as the Mustang pace car peels off, are we going to see our top 2 gobbled up quickly? Herzog gets himself a jump, stays ahead of Archer, but look at them stack up behind.
What Herzog and Archer has to do is just get together and agree to race side by side for the next 50 laps.
Easier said than done. Already they've got Kalisto breathing down their necks, and you can see just how many cars are climbing all over the back of them, wanting to get up. Number 2 slipping to the inside of Clark Archer through 3 and 4, but he can't do anything with it.
Man, what a mad scramble here on this restart.
Now, I know, Bill, you were taking a look to see if Clement took his free repair. Did you find out if he took it or not?
I don't know what Clement's doing. He came in and took right sides only. I'm totally baffled by that. He was the last car in line. He could have taken 4 tires. I'm not sure what's going on.
Meanwhile, Archer was overtaken there by the number 2. So Kalisto gets himself into second. Behind him, Archer doesn't have to worry about Thunhorst quite yet because Thunhorst is battling with Richie Hearn, who's moving to the low side. seeing if he can get himself back into that podium spot that he was earlier in the race.
Blake Reynolds back here trying to pick up a spot on the 60 of Lovelady. He's going to pass him.
Now, I don't know if we mentioned this. Reynolds is the lead car of all the cars who took 4 tires. Kalisto and those guys, Hearn, Thunderhurst, all took 2.
Ooh,
oh my goodness.
Wide there. That almost went badly in a hurry.
That was Clark Archer in the wall.
Blake Reynolds to the inside of Thunhorst. Brian Grandin as well down on the low side, but we have a battle for the lead. Kalisto comes up on Herzog, and I believe these are teammates.
Oh, that's 2 Alliance drivers. That you are correct.
I was going to say the 57 doesn't look to be fighting him that hard, but he comes back with some momentum down the front stretch. That's going to go away in the corner behind them. Still a hard battle for that 3rd place. As side-by-side Richie Hearn comes out ahead of Grandin and Reynolds, still going at it. Thunhorst is getting bottled up back there, desperately wanting to climb forward.
Yeah, Blake Reynolds not getting any help here at all, Joe. Trying to send it in there and almost makes contact with Thunhorst.
Oh, that was almost a replay of what Reynolds did when he got together with Clement.
This time Thunhorst swinging down low on Grandin, and also Reynolds going underneath Richie Hearn. Thunhorst getting a little bit of apology. Did he make contact?
Yeah, he almost did. Yeah, he kind of rolled up the track right into Grandin. It's a close moment. Grandin hangs on to it, though.
Oh, Reynolds made that one look easy as he finally gets himself into the 3rd position. Up next is Herzog, who does not have fresh tires. But while he has to deal with Herzog, Kalisto is stretching away. Still a battle going on between Thunhorst and Richie. The Alliance driver going underneath the Elite West driver, trying to get himself some clear track so that he can slide up into the line, but he can't quite do it yet. The 70 comes back at him. Finally, now he can move high if he wants.
That caution flag really shook things up quite a bit. Yeah, you've got Beltrami now back here fighting with Sam Boren and the 18 of Brandon Chappell. Chappell going to try and get under him here. Got to back out of it. He was pushing up the track.
Is well down towards the mid-pack, and definitely not where Beltrami wants to be after he was farther up through the field.
And ahead of them all, racing in 10th, is Clark Archer. Remember, he's on that same strategy as Herzog, going with this 1 set of tires right now, trying to save some money.
Well, Reynolds has caught Herzog. How hard is Mark going to fight? Right now, he's holding around to the outside. He'll probably want to hold him up. Oh, but he gets the wall of 57, understeering into the concrete.
Boy, and Thunhorst behind him moved all the way down the track. It's like, hey, I'm getting away from that.
I wondered if maybe the 57 would try and hold up Reynolds so that he could let his teammate get himself a gap. And he did just a little bit. It's half a second between Kalisto and Reynolds. But now there are no cars between them.
Fifth,
on
sixth,
board with Thunhorst. Go ahead.
Sorry about that, Joe. I was going to say 5th, 6th, and 7th all occupied by the Elite West drivers. But the teammates are going at it now. Lovelady and Hearn coming through turn 1 into turn 2. And they're bringing Wayne Hutchinson along with him there.
Trying to get himself into the mix, but he can't carry the speed off the corner. And who is that? Barker, I believe.
Chappell.
It was the 51.
Barker and Chappell, huh?
Oh, it looks like it was started by Beltrami getting into the wall. Oh, no, maybe it was 2 separate incidents.
I think it was. Beltrami got in the wall, but he got away. It was actually Barker getting in the wall secondary behind him. And he hits it hard, and then he gets collected by the 18 of Brandon Chappell, who had nowhere to go as Barker's car was sliding across the track. Looking at it here on the replay.
Definitely a racing incident for that one. Curious how much damage the number 14 took out of that thwack. Certainly thinned out the car on that one. So let's watch on board from Chapel's view. Held himself down way low, and then suddenly there it goes. A little bit of chatter between Thunhorst. After making that contact, we saw middle of that run.
And apparently Beltrami picked up enough damage that he's decided to bring it in the pit.
Oh, and Mark Herzog.
Yeah, he pits.
That damage must have hurt him pretty badly.
Yeah, he took his fast repair, Joe. He's out immediately.
So the only driver out there who has not pitted is Clark Archer.
And I believe it looks like Claude Belval is going to be our lucky dog. Here's the incredible thing in all this. The only driver that we've had retire is Rob Gall, and that was a connection issue. So, despite having a little bit of early cautions, we did get a nice long green flag run, and otherwise, it's been pretty good racing out there.
Yeah, it really has. It's 37 laps to go across the line, and these guys have been moving. Boy, we've seen some really, really good battles at play, and we've got a little bit of pit strategy that came into this here on that last caution. It's definitely been exciting. It's been a totally different race than the first one.
Still got another 2 laps here around, it looks like, as they are not side by side quite yet. But your order up at the top 5 here with only about 45 laps to go. Callisto leads. Reynolds has chased him down after having to come back from the back of the field. Thunhorst sits in 3rd. Brian Grandin is in 4th. And Thomas Lovelady, nice run from him, is in the top 5.
23 drivers still on the lead lap, the last one being Chris Pence. As Claude Belval, the Canadian driver, got that lucky dog, but he was several laps down. I guess he's from Canada, it would be maybe the lucky husky, that's what he got.
Looks like drivers are getting ready to go double file to come back to the front stretch. Wait for those lights to go off on the pace car.
Well, Sean, he's there now. Callisto and Blake Reynolds went all the way to the back. And now here he is outside of row 1.
Yep, here we go.
Last season's champion of the Mario Andretti's Drivers' Trophy was Jason Fleischle, a teammate of Lionel Callisto. Lionel eagerly wanting to keep that trophy within their team this season. He's going to fight Blake for all he's worth, but he doesn't have to necessarily. Blake finished with a 3rd last time. If Callisto can hold on to a 2nd, that will give Callisto the win for the weekend and the points. A little bit of mind games happening there as Blake Reynolds getting on the gas. But right now it goes to the green flag as the number 2 gets ahead of the number 67. Down into 1, battle for 3rd between Grandin and Hearn. Ooh, big bobble from Hearn. Everybody behind has to check up. Somehow everyone stays out of it, but Ray Partridge gets it the worst, and a caution at the
Brian Barnes.
Oh, and a big one.
Looks like maybe it started with Chappelle, maybe in the 18 car.
Yeah, well,
Ooh,
Barnes
got
is
him.
going to get into Chappelle, and Chappelle disappears from the screen immediately, and I think we know what that means. A little bit too much contact for him, but several cars get involved in that. Chad Barker gets collected, and so does Brian Barnes. And Chris Pence can't avoid it, unfortunately. On board with Barnes here.
Yeah, just
contact there.
Just the lightest of touches. Got to be a little bit frustrating for Chapel. Well, thankfully, Bill, the alternate dimension hasn't had a huge party so far.
Not any big names. I think it's about 3rd one we've lost down there, so still seating left.
Do they have hors d'oeuvres over there?
It is. It's a good place to go.
Ooh,
and you
it's
can
not bad,
smoke there.
yeah.
So if you're that type of guy.
Well,
Is Hugh Hefner hosting that party tonight, possibly?
Nope. Hugh's
No?
not involved. It's strictly Rod Serling
Okay.
and all the guys who have gone into the Twilight Zone.
so a little bit of yellow fever here mid-race after we had such a long green flag run. Drivers knowing that it's starting to come down to it. Maybe we're seeing a little bit of more antsy moves, a little tighter racing. They do have a time limit on these races. However, we still have 44 minutes left, which is about exactly halfway, and we are well past the halfway point on this second race. Unless we have a lot more cautions, we look to be relatively safe.
That's what we said last time when we had a 4-hour time limit on one, and we got right there at wrap that thing up at 3 hours and 56 minutes.
Well,
Got it in under the wire.
thankfully, we're not at Darlington tonight.
Here we go. Oh no, the lights are still on.
Wouldn't these cars be fun at Darlington? I've never tried that.
Well, we know what Sean's doing after this race is over. Now
You know,
they're going to get double file.
It's funny, we do this, and we're here, we have a second race, they requalify, and look who we got up there again. Callisto, Reynolds, Thunhurst,
Something about the cream and the top of things.
The one I cannot figure out of what's going back on there from Clement. He just doesn't seem. He's up to 13th, but he didn't come in for a pit stop that time. I'm a little bit confused, but he's 13th.
I'm assuming he's taken his free repair then, if he's up
maybe.
to 13th. Maybe just taking care of the car, trying not to make risky moves. He does still have a number of laps left to go, so he doesn't have to hustle right now.
I'm sure he's going to be watching the replay later on and say, Soup, just shush. I know what I'm doing.
All right, pace car coming around turns 3 and 4. Callisto leads the field once again. Oh, the lights are still on.
Oh.
They got double file a little bit too early. So, there we go as we get the camera up on top. My excuse is that my camera is way up in the sky, so I can't exactly see the lights from my angle. Now they're off for sure.
Well, I've gone through all my graphics, and so we got everything in. We have 31 laps of racing. Sean, let's go 31, what do you say, 30 green flag laps from here out, huh?
Hey, I'm cool with it. Not a problem. Again, this has been a totally different race, and it's been great. The action's been hot on track. I would not be surprised if we get a final run here to the checkers.
All right, I'm ordering my pizza right now, so
all right,
let's get this in. Let's get this done before the pizza comes. All right,
Bill, I can't believe we're out of points. You don't have something for drivers wearing a green shirt or something like that?
No, I've done it. I got in the governor's cup, and I'm a happy guy.
All right. Lionel Callisto now this time leads them around to the green flag. Once again, we're seeing Reynolds really holding tight to him, and he gets a good run on it. Drivers in third and fourth also as well, tight to the back of our front row. Thunhorse trying to get back up through the field. He dropped back before. Oh, as he washes up a little bit, but tries to stay out of the car of Brian Grandin. Grandin working that high side, trying to stay on the podium. Did not have a good race last time around. Was struggling come the end of race 1. Still staying side by side with the number 5. Down into turn 1 they go. Thunhorst could come up if he wants to. The number 5 is alive, and he's on the podium. Up ahead of them, that caused them to lose a little bit of ground on our leaders, who were maybe looking at a battle as the number 67 sticks his nose in through 3 and 4. A little bit of chatter between Grandin and Thunhorst. Apparently Thunhorst made a little bit of contact with Grandin. Both of them seeming to take it civilly, though.
You know, Joe, Trevor Clement is starting to move through the field back here, getting on the inside of Sam Boren. This is an angry pack of modifieds right in front of him.
I was going to say, he's in a very risky situation, though. Bit of a hornet's nest around him right now as cars jockey for position.
Trying to clear Michael Thompson now. Well, still trying to clear Sam Boren. Hasn't quite pulled that off. Oh, boy, that was close.
A little side-to-side contact between himself and the right-hand shotgun driver. And that causes the 555 to check up and move backwards. But the 111 now into 12th. Meanwhile, up at the front, I should note that Reynolds is all over the rear spoiler of Callisto.
Yeah, Callisto's been covering the outside like a synthetic lawn there and trying to make Reynolds do it underneath him. Really protecting that top side. And what it's doing is it's slowing down both of them, and it's really bringing Thunhorse into the mix.
And Thunhorse being involved is not good news for Reynolds because that is a teammate of Lionel Callisto. And a bit of an alliance sandwich.
It really is the tale of two teams up front right now with Alliance and Elite West occupying your top 5 spots, top 6. And Blake Reynolds just kind of sprinkled in there for good measure.
I believe Elite West is only 48 points back from Alliance, if I can remember correctly.
Yeah, certainly in the hunt, so they will be, these are all big points.
So they want to get past these two Alliance drivers, but right now it doesn't look like they have the pace.
Boy, here comes Clement too, man. He is running. Just got by Thompson, now working on Clark Archer.
And Thompson actually had to check up big time, which allows Sam Boren inside of him, but already you're seeing the 111 of Clement get inside of Archer and pass him easily. You can see there behind them the 2x2 between Boren, Thompson, Wolf, and Herzog.
So into the top 10.
Herzog. Oh, I thought he was going to give way there down to Wolf.
Remember, Wolf has got a fresher set of tires on that car.
Oof. Herzog getting very close to the outside wall and almost might have brushed it there. Trying to carry the speed on that high line.
Actually, Herzog's tires are the same number of laps on him as Wolf. So these cars actually more evenly matched than I thought.
Just to follow up on your tire thought there, Clark Archer, remember, doing it on one set, racing in 12th. All in all, probably not a bad decision for him. I'm not sure he was racing that high up before he decided to stay out.
Still 20 laps to go, and Sean, you get a second time to do it. You know what that means.
It's time to drop that disco ball back down again, baby.
Wait a minute.
Oh,
disco ball has to be put away.
Yep, it's been raised back up because Chad Barker. Oh no, and I think that might have been an incident too many for Chad Barker.
Yeah, and Travis Henderson, unfortunately, is the one that loses a bunch of places as that 124 gets pushed sideways.
You know what? And you're going to see on the replay here, Barker's going to actually tap him a second time. So it wasn't the initial contact, it was the second contact he made.
That's not fair. Send him back, Rod.
Well, it depends on what you call this, whether this is love or war. I'd say it's fair.
I see what you did there.
Things slow down just a little bit. Oh, and Reynolds faking his way.
Come on,
I don't think that was going to work for anybody. Works about as well as a Groucho Marx mustache as a costume, I think. Nobody was fooled.
Hey, you know, I shot an elephant in my pajamas once.
What was an elephant doing in your pajamas?
So, we only have 20 cars left then. I see Pence and Henderson in the pits. They might be able to get back out on track and bump it back up to 22. But we've now had 3 retirements: Chad Barker, Brandon Chappell, and Rob Gall. 2 of those, of course, lost to the Twilight Zone.
I wonder if we can lobby iRacing to officially call that. There might be licensing issues.
I don't think. Yeah,
the family of Rod Serling may not be happy about that.
That money needs to go to licensing tracks. I'm sorry.
Yes, true. Riverhead Raceway, please. For the modifieds, please.
He's trying. They're getting a lot of new dirt tracks, though. Understand that Weedsport was recently scanned by iRacing. Actually, did we find out who won that poll that iRacing ran recently? Which track?
For tracks?
Next?
Well, apparently it was Weedsport because that's where they went.
Well, no, they needed to scan it still, but it was one of the choices. That doesn't mean that was necessarily the track they'll build next.
The track that won, okay.
I'd like them to do the beach circuit at Daytona, but that's just not going on.
I don't think that still exists.
It might be hard to get a scan on that one.
The beach is still there.
Yes, it is. True.
It is.
True, it is. Not as much of it as there once was, unfortunately, but it is still there.
Waiting for the lights to turn off on the pace car. Not going to call it early this time. This is going to be, if they can keep it green, this will be a little bit of a quick run to the end.
Yeah, it really will. It's going to be a sprint, which means it may not be the last caution flag we see. They're going to be really, really dashing and slicing and dashing 4 positions here. It could get ugly if they fight a little too hard. Close quarters here.
What is interesting is what the 2-car has done. It has been protecting the top side, making Reynolds go underneath him.
If he's going to do it, he's going to have to do it the hard way. Lights are indeed off, and they go double wide here for the restart. Your order on the top 5, this time when they come back to green: Kalisto, Reynolds, Thunhorst, Lovelady, Grandin.
What's important is for Kalisto to clear Reynolds here before they get to turn 1. He wants to be able to get up in front of him. He doesn't want to be pinned on the inside going into 1.
Let's see if we can go green to the checkers here. And race 2 of the Lion Tamer Beard Care New England Twin 100's. As the pace car comes to the pit entrance, peels off. Reynolds a little bit ahead. He gets a fantastic jump, though. The number 2 of Kalisto is going to have to go deep into this first corner to take that high line away from the number 67. He's not deep enough. Here comes Blake Reynolds. Could this be the move that decides the race? Still side by side, coming off the corner. They're going to stay side by side down into turn 3. They stay about dead even. Blake Reynolds with a beautiful restart could have gotten himself the race here, but Kalisto is not giving up. They've gone single file behind them. This is the important race for the lead here with only 15 laps to go.
Dunhorse clears Lovelady, but Lovelady gets a run out of mobile space contact, getting out of turn 2. The caution's back out.
Wolf.
Oh, boy, Joshua Wolf, yeah.
Looks like he got loose, and it looks like as we watch the replay, we lost another one to the Twilight Zone. This time it was Brian Barnes. Now, Chris Pence apparently had a bit of a checkup, and did something happen to him here?
Well, I know that Herzog went over. Is this the one that...
Oh, it looks like it was after the initial incident.
Oh, it was. Yeah,
who was that?
That's
who was that turn to the inside?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was Herzog.
And then he
actually
drives
getting into Michael Thompson.
And he drives him back to the pits. Actually, he stays out.
Wow.
Yeah, the caution had just come out, and Thompson got out of the throttle. Herzog just gets him, and Pence just collides in. Boy, Pence really gets the worst of that.
Well, I'll tell you, there are 2 guys that have different opinions about that yellow flag. Kalisto was happy to see it come out. Reynolds was not. Kalisto was in trouble, pinned to the inside. Reynolds was eventually going to get that pass made.
And he was ahead by a hair because they were still side by side.
Yeah.
So little bit of luck on the side of Kalisto for that one. I will say something about Barnes having not that great of a first race and now unfortunately being DQ'd in the second one. I try to remember if he said that he follows F1. If he does, I'm surprised he didn't learn the lesson from F1, which is if you put a celebratory, number of races on the livery of your car, you're going to have a bad race. I mean, a superstition thing, but I've seen it enough times to know it's a bad idea.
Didn't that happen to Rubens Barrichello?
Yeah, indeed.
It did, yeah, okay.
I think that was the one where his car caught on fire even or something like that?
Yes, yeah, that was it. Oh,
Well, I'll tell you something here. Lionel Little Train Kalisto is too sharp to be fooled twice. He's going to get a much better start this time, and he's going to try to close the door on Reynolds. Again, he cannot afford to have Reynolds on his outside going into one.
Meanwhile, the number 56 of Claude Belval gets our lucky dog, and the significant thing about this one is it puts him back on the lead lap.
Lucky Husky, man. Come on.
Would it be St. Bernard? Is that?
I guess that'll work. That's Canadian too, yeah, sure.
I'm trying to remember if maybe that's Austria I'm thinking of that have the St. Bernards wandering around in the mountains in the cold.
Little keg of whiskey under their brandy under their neck, yeah. The lights are still on. My goodness, this is
They just
they're taking their time.
riding side by side. At least up at the front, they do. All right, we're now down to 12 laps to go at the restart. I believe we're going to have at least 10.
Clement racing in 10th outside of row 5. Many more positions he can pick up, Sean, before this thing is done.
yeah, there's a chance here, and Joe, you are right. It'll be 10 to go when they get to the line. Can we do all 10 under green?
Yeah, we're going to go home from here.
I understand Trevor's decision to wait to take his free repair. I fear, Bill, that it has bit him. It took so long that he just hasn't had the time he's needed to really weasel his way up through this field.
Still should be a good points day for him. Remember, they combine them together with what he did in the first race, so...
Indeed, I think that should at least give him somewhere in the close to the top 5.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on where he finishes. If we can get this to go green to the finish. All right. What can Kalisto do to try and fend off Reynolds? Last time, Reynolds really caught him out. As the pace car peels off, this time, Kalisto a little bit better. He's nosing ahead, but he's going to have to go deep into this first corner to try and get that upper line away from the number 67. He does it right away, but the 67 dives in deep. Can he get it off the corner? They're still side by side. Momentum starts to swing back to the number 2. Just barely fending him off. But he's got to do it for 10 more laps. Here comes Blake Reynolds trying that low line. He was able to try and make passes last race on that low side all the way up to the wall for the number 2. He's got to be careful not to let it slide into the concrete.
Kalisto way more comfortable, though, to let the inside be open and to make Reynolds go it down underneath him.
Number 5 having to check up mid-corner.
Yeah. Oh, love lady in the wall.
Love Lady making his car a lot thinner coming off of turn 2. That moves him down to 6. And also frees up the number 5 to try and run down Blake Reynolds and maybe act as a distraction to the number 67 and help out his teammate in the championship.
That's exactly what I was thinking. He's got to get up there and help his teammate out. But boy, I'll tell you what, those two got really good pace right now. I don't know if Thunderhorse is going to be able to catch him.
He's got half a second to try and close up that gap. But right now, Reynolds all over the rear bumper of Kalisto. Down to 8 laps to go.
Oh, getting turned around. Oh, no. We got trouble. The 17 is off, and Trevor Clement off to the Twilight Zone. The yellow does not come out. Spin it off of 4.
But no yellow, Clement, right?
No, the caution's out.
We got tipped just a little bit, and it looks like he got touched by Hutchison, who went to the inside. I wonder if he was the one that set off the caution.
Yeah, it was actually Archer getting tipped by Joshua Wolf that sets off the caution.
Well, unfortunately for the number 29, the Wolf was at the door. And the Wolf pushed the door open.
Yeah. And then the Wolf closes hostile. Boom.
Ups and puffs, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, I would say that we are going to have a little couple lap shootout here normally, but as long as it takes these guys to get under green, I'm not so sure. I think we'll be okay. I think, yeah.
Yeah, we should have a real fast shootout, but boy, this is going to be intense because now Reynolds has to push even harder.
You know, Trevor Clement was really he was the big loser there, guys, because he was still moving up through the field and was really looking at the possibility of maybe getting into the top 5. And
he had got up to 7th. I made a look. He had all the way up to 7th before all that.
Well, that's sad to see. Now, usually an award, an unofficial award that we give out that I want to hand out on the second race at least, Travis Henderson gets the Dory Award for me. 11 laps down, he's in 22nd place, but he brought the car back out, and he's trying to pick up whatever he can. I don't think he's even going to get Clement, unfortunately. Oh, but he's going to get the lucky dog.
Yeah, he's not going to get him. Not enough laps left to get that done, unfortunately. But certainly a worthy Dory Award recipient there, Joe.
Yeah, that's all fine and dandy, but if he brings out a yellow flag here, I'm gonna write him up to iRacing.
The good news is, Bill, if they can get to the white flag, they won't have another caution. So
I'm just getting it on record right now that Travis Henderson cannot be the cause of a yellow flag in these next 5 laps. You hear me, Travis?
Now, I'm not sure if you guys mentioned this earlier. We've seen from Trevor Clement, his DQ was all from contacts to the rear. So that's got to be even more frustrating.
Not going fast enough.
I don't say the same thing.
You know, I don't think that's an issue necessarily for Clement. I'm going to put a rebuttal on that one. All right. We are going to get a green-white checkered, fellas. This is going to be intense. They have to survive this first lap on the restart, and if they can do that, it'll be green all the way to the end.
It's going to end with lots of champagne or lots of cheers, Joe.
Well, possibly both of them at the same time.
Oh no, I
think you meant
I messed that up. My bad.
I think I understood what you
meant.
Yeah. All right, here we see the lights on the pace car. Lights are out. They are double file. What can Blake Reynolds do? He desperately needs to get in front and hope that Callisto has trouble if he wants to take the win. Even if he doesn't get it, if he finishes in the second place, there's still hope for him in the final round, but it'll be that much harder.
Sean, is spinning the tires an issue here? Is that something these guys have to watch out for?
Not really. These cars aren't geared like that we got to worry about so much about spinning the tires. Hey, listen, I still think Thunhorse can win this race, guys. Not just because I picked him, but because he's been patient.
He's been looking good. But does he want to win it? He probably is also thinking about his teammate, wanting to help his championship hopes. That has got to be a worry for Blake Reynolds. So, as the Mustang pace car peels off, green flag waves. Immediately, Lionel Callisto gets on it, but it looks like maybe he missed a shift because here comes Blake Reynolds back at him. He's going to have the outside line down into turn 1. The number 2 is on the undesirable low line. Is this going to be it? Can this be the end that Blake Reynolds needs? He gets the momentum off the corner. He's got a nose ahead. Lionel Callisto starts to lose ground. All they have to do is stay green to the line from here, and it'll go all the way to the checkers. Lionel Callisto trying desperately to get back up there. as they come off the corner. He keeps his nose down to the inside. White flag comes out. It is all the way to the checkers from here. The number 2 tries to take it in deep. 67 holding up high. He's got the line that he wants. Blake Reynolds missed out on the win on the last one. He's had to climb from the back of the field. He's got it just barely ahead. Lionel Callisto coming down into turn 3. It's going to have to take something special as he sends it in deep one more time. He tries to keep it out of the 67. Doesn't want to do it dirty, but coming off the corner, here comes the number 2. He tries to run it off the line. The number 67 with a nose ahead, and Reynolds wins
it. He wins it by a good year.
Inches between them. Let's watch that one from above. Oh, so close for Callisto. And despite all that, this will give Callisto the overall win. Look at that at the line. Less than half a car between them. Is that our closest finish in the Pac Majors?
Oh, my goodness.
Certainly one of the closer ones I can remember.
You got to give Blake Reynolds credit for the win, but how about Lionel Callisto for able to do that and stay off of Reynolds?
And look at the celebratory lap here from Blake Reynolds. And then I guess Callisto's celebrating a lap as well, since he's going to take the points win for these 2 races. Nice little photo op for them at the line. We're going to go to break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. And in between that, don't forget, we've got all the upcoming races here on GSRC displayed. Welcome back to New Hampshire Motor Speedway. The end of race 2 was a thriller. Definitely one to go down as a classic here in the Pacific Majors. And Blake Reynolds won it, but not in the dominant fashion that we're used to seeing him do in some of these other races. Lionel Callisto made him work so hard for it that it came down to 33 1,000ths, 3 100ths at the line, less than half a car length splitting them for that first place. Callisto taking second. Matthew Thunhorst was behind them to try and play support for his teammate, but didn't wind up in the mix in that 2-lap shootout. He finished in third. Brian Grandin came home in fourth. Richie Hearn was in the top 5 this time, so despite his bad luck, he actually managed to try and come back and get himself a good points day. Sam Boren for riding shotgun finished in 6th behind him. Brian Bennett also made himself a little bit of a recovery drive this race. He finished in 7th. Ray Partridge in 8th, and Trevor Vovroski for Grizzly Motorsports in 9th. Michael Thompson rounds out our top 10, Bill.
At 11th is Joshua Wolf. Brian McGreevy in 12th. 13th and 14th go to Clark Archer and Claude Vival on the lead lap in 14th spot. Good for him. Mark Herzog, the last car on the lead lap in 15th. Lips like strawberry wine. He's 16th. He's beautiful. He's Thomas Lovelady. 17th is Bob Beltrami. Wayne Hutchinson, Trevor Clement in 19th spot, and rounding out the top 20, Travis Henderson.
I'll take the last 5. Chris Pence with a tough run there will finish 21st. Brian Barnes going to finish 22nd. Chad Barker, 23rd. Brandon Chappell, 24th and 25th. Going to go to Rob Gall. Connection issues, not his friend this evening.
And with that, we're going to talk to our winner of this race, Blake Reynolds, to hear his thoughts on that thrilling finish. Just incredible stuff. Blake, the 2 last restarts, you found something and you managed to challenge for the lead. What is it that you figured out that allowed you to get up to that high line and fight for the lead?
I'm in absolute hysterics, dude. I did not think I would win that race, but yeah, I took 4 in that one pit stop we did, and all the others took 2, and it worked coming back to the front. I didn't think on those last couple of restarts it was going to work off, but the track cooled down and the outside had the grip, and I really got aggressive there and hung in there with Lionel, and somehow, some way, just roared around his outside and won the race.
Now, even though you eked Lionel out to the line, Lionel has eked you out on the overall win for this weekend, with him taking a 1st and a 2nd, and you a 1st and a 3rd. That will stretch the gap between you and him into the final race. Do you still think it's possible to take this away after Bathurst in a few weeks' time?
Well, last year I won Bathurst, and I raced the Bathurst 1000, the official one, yesterday. So I've already got the laps down. I got, the feel of this year's cars. I'm super pumped for Bathurst, but I'm sure Lionel is too. I know he's really fast there. And in these heavier cars, me and him, we race the oval stuff, and he's good everywhere. So it just comes down to where we finish, and I'm sure we'll have a nice fight there.
All right. Well, with this being a first time having the Tour Modifieds in New Hampshire on the schedule, would you like to see this one back next year for Pacific Majors?
I'm a little indifferent. I was a little sulking midpoint of that race just because of the pace difference between me and the Alliance cars. But sure, I mean, it's an oval race. I love ovals. I'd like to see it back next year. That was fun.
All right. That was Blake Reynolds, our winner here today for race 2, but 2nd place for the points at the end of this weekend. Up next, it looks like we have Bill Zahn talking to Lionel Callisto, who won the overall.
Lionel, congratulations on the overall win in that last heat. One too many restarts for you.
Yeah, hey, thanks, guys. Man, I did not want to see that yellow, honestly, because I know Blake's really good on the restarts. Yeah, once he got the outside, it's so hard to plant the rear tires on the low lane, especially on the straightaways. But yeah, it sucks, but at the same time, it was a fun race. Happy with the way we finished. Many thanks to the Alliance on Alliance Evo. Big help from those guys.
I think you caught a break a few laps earlier when you were side by side with Reynolds, but he had the top side. I had a hunch that, boy, eventually he's going to get Callisto here. And then the yellow came out, and they let you have another restart.
Yeah, I did not want to see another yellow. I think the one before that, once I got in the lead, I was just praying it doesn't go back to yellow, because I know he's going to get a good restart again. It's so hard to pass out in New Hampshire. The low lane is it's just not as much grip. And I think the high lane is the way to go here.
Talk to me about restarts, because I was asking Sean, is it a matter of spinning the tires? And he said not really, because it's not geared that way. What makes a good restart? What makes a bad one?
A couple of ones I made a mistake. Just there's no tag, so I don't know like when to shift exactly. I was just going based off engine noise, and I know like one of them. I think it was the last race when he passed me. That's when I bounced the rev limiter, and I did it again this one too. And also I was changing my timing on the restart to see if I could throw him off, but he was just on me every restart.
Well, congrats, man. First of all, you didn't have to come from the back like I've seen you have to do so many times. Congratulations on an overall weekend win. Big points for you. You're up on top of the points. You're going to stay there. One more race to go. Let's see if we can get that first championship.
Oh, it's definitely going to be exciting. Looking forward to it.
Lionel Callisto, your overall winner. And how about a tip of the hat to Joe Peak on that call, and also when he also caught that Lionel might have missed a shift there, Joe. Nice going. That's looked like that might have been a problem for Lionel.
I wondered the way he slowed down, but Sean is also going to be talking to our third place finisher, third. Now I can't talk. Third 2 times in a row, actually, for Matthew Thunhorst in the number 5. Sean?
And 2 times in a row, he gets to talk to me. Matthew, congratulations. You get a much better qualifying effort, and you still wind up on the podium. Was this race any easier? It sure didn't look like it.
Yeah, it was kind of nuts. Once we got out there and had that long green flag run with me and Lionel, and I saw we were pulling away from Blake, I'm like, yeah, we got this. And then it just became yellow fever, and from there is a uphill climb.
Well, obviously, obviously. Now, you didn't change setups between the 2 races, right?
No, we had the same thing in for both races in the car, and the second one, we kind of lost how loose the car was compared to the first one, but I mean, the setup was still really grippy, handled really well. So Trevor found us a gem.
Did the temperature make much of a difference in this second race? It was a little bit cooler.
Yeah, generally it was, you had to really overdrive the car to get them to slide the tires about, so I feel like it was a lot more forgiving. And it's like with a lot of the night race kind of setups, it definitely, that top line started to get more speed in it, so it was a lot harder to make some of those passes compared to the previous race.
So, some drivers prefer driving all the way from the back and coming up through the field. What's your preference, and what do you feel about how that worked out for you today?
I'm just glad both worked out, because I don't think you were safe either way. You could have been in the back and got trouble, and was fortunate enough to avoid that. Trevor was up front and got nipped by Blake, and there were other guys up front that got in trouble. So, I mean, generally, I'm just feeling pretty lucky that I was able to avoid it no matter where I was.
Well, you were certainly entertaining to watch today. I'm going to tell some truth here. I did pick you to win this second race. Hopefully that didn't prevent you from actually getting to the top of the podium. I think third's still going to be a pretty decent result, and one that you're happy with.
Yeah, definitely happy with it. And I wish Lionel would have held on to win, because that would have made him definitely the overall winner. I think he still got it, but if he would have kept second or end up winning it, then I think me and Blake would have been tied for second overall. So, missed opportunities.
Well, Matthew, again, congratulations, and we'll see you next time, buddy.
Yeah, pleasure talking to you.
All right, a pleasure talking to Matt Thunhorst. What a performance by him today. Does it the first race, coming all the way from the back of the pack to finish on the podium there in third, and well, he qualifies a little bit better here in the second race and still finishes third. So, Joe, take your pick. What do you prefer to do?
I think I'd rather go from the front rather than have to climb my way through the field. But it seems like it doesn't matter which you throw at Matthew Thunhorst, he can deal with it either way. And we're done dealing with today, as it was a fantastic race to watch. Both of them awesome races. I really enjoyed this. I hope to see it back next season, because it was a unique entry into the season for the Pacific Majors. I love seeing all the different cars that they put the drivers into. And speaking of which, we need to thank Mike Willett for organizing this series, and of course to his team of people all behind the scenes that help him bring this thing to fruition. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen as well. A special thank you to Lion Tamer Beard Care for sponsoring this race. Additional thanks to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. And additionally, just want to remind people again, and we've been saying it over the broadcast this weekend, Casey Lalonde has announced on Twitter he's very close to finishing his new album, so keep an eye out for that. Thanks to the team today, Amjad, Bill, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Or you can check us out on social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel or Facebook at /GlobalSimRacingChannel. The next race, we mentioned it, we're going down under to Bathurst, the V8 Supercars, one of the most difficult cars to drive here on iRacing. That'll be Sunday, October 29th at 7:45 p.m. Eastern. So we'll be done with the season before we even get to November. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.